Welcome to The Mountain in the Valley, the podcast dedicated to bringing dignity back to hard work and telling the stories of those who do. Tonight we have Jake,
Yeah,
Jacob, or
Yeah.
Jake.
whatever.
All right, well, we'll go with Jake.
Make it
Jacob,
easy. Yeah.
either or. Just don't call you late for dinner.
Yeah. Yep.
And Jake is a local here in Central PA. He's a contractor. Um, I've known him for a few years now. He buys bulk chicken off me from time to time, and comes up and we talk shop. And yeah, he owns his own business at this point.
Yeah.
With a couple guys, at least one guy. At this,
Yep.
who knows? But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a local guy, just a normal, everyday blue collar fella, and we're going to get into where he's from, how he got there, and lessons that he's learned over the years of doing the work, doing the heavy lifting. I just before we get started, um, I just want to remind everybody that if you're a blue collar guy, blue collar lady, that's real important. It's not overstated to say that this world runs because you guys are out there doing what needs to be done. It may seem like a small thing to run a loader or build a deck or pour concrete, but this world doesn't run without all of us doing what we should. And unfortunately, no one wants to highlight that. There aren't very many conversations about what that means or why it's important or what the value we bring to this world is. And we aim to change that here at the Mountain in the Valley. We want to talk about the lows, the highs, the awesome stuff, the not so awesome stuff. And so we're going to jump right into it here with Jake. So where'd you grow up? What was that like? Where are you from?
So grew up. My dad's a pastor, so we moved around a lot. He's done a bit of inner city ministry, so a good chunk of my life was in Harrisburg.
Mm.
I would say up until about 10th grade. So about 15 years old there.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved around a little bit. I was down in like Lancaster County and Columbia there. He was working in Lancaster, and then jumped up to Harrisburg for a good portion of my life. And then we moved back down into Lancaster County again, into the Elizabethtown area.
Okay.
So I graduated from Elizabethtown High School in 2009.
2009.
Yeah.
All right.
Redoing 2009.
What was I doing in 2009? I was trying not to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. Yeah. I was losing my shirt, selling my truck to pay my mortgage.
There we go.
That was what I was doing in 2009. I was 28 years old. I had 2 kids, a mortgage, and a business that failed already. So it was awesome.
Yeah,
it was so good.
The school of hard knocks.
Yeah. I was well out of the normal everyday school. But okay, so you kind of moved around a bit, and your dad was a pastor. What were you like, though? What were you?
I was a hooligan, man.
A hooligan?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So, the old saying, the pastor's kids are the worst. So.
Yeah.
I was in and out of a lot of trouble.
Right on.
Somehow I never got arrested, and, whatever.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the Lord looked out for me.
Yeah. I've always been told the Lord looks out for fools and children, of which I'm both.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a funny thing. Were you into like sports? Were you into cars? Were you into what were you into? Like
music,
Music. Okay.
Yeah, so we started playing drums at 9, started taking lessons. So the church, my dad was at a church in Lancaster City there, and that was early, some of the early vineyard music, if anybody's been around the church scene in that time. Yeah. So just some contemporary music was coming out in the 90s, so we're looking at 98, 99 here, and Dad was playing guitar, leading music at church, and wanted to be involved, and there was no drummer, so he's like,
"Guess what you're gonna do?
Yeah, you can keep count, and so you're gonna do it." And I picked up on it quite quickly, and that was pretty much from 9 years old on. I didn't play many sports in school. I was in the in any band I could get in. So
Okay.
like symphonic band, marching band.
Yeah.
Yeah, messed around with.
Were you in the school play?
I was not
Oh,
no,
okay.
but
Just wondering.
no,
Because sometimes they go hand in hand,
yeah,
sometimes not.
no, but they
Yeah.
had like Elizabethtown had a really solid music program. The other schools I was a part of, they had all right programs, and I'd be involved in that, and I'd play in bands and stuff outside of school with just high school kids and whatnot.
Hmm.
But yeah, when I got to Elizabethtown, I really took it seriously
Yeah.
and started getting more involved in that. So they had like the jazz bands, the symphonic band,
Okay.
orchestra, all the school play. They did all the live
All the
music for
music for
that and
that.
whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's awesome.
I wasn't
Yeah.
really super involved in the play stuff, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very involved. So that was so in high school it was like art and music.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. But not like sports. Okay.
yeah. No,
Yeah, me neither. Don't
I
worry.
always loved football, but I never.
Yeah. It was nice to watch.
Yeah,
Let those
yeah,
guys do the heavy lifting.
and
Yeah. No thanks.
being a marching band,
You
we
got
got
to go.
to every football game anyway. So
Right. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I just was wondering because you are a pretty tall
yeah,
guy, and
yeah.
I was just
I
wondering.
mean, at this point, I wish I would have played some football, but yeah,
Yeah. Well,
never did.
that's life.
Hmm.
That's life. No big deal. All right. Cool. And I mean, what would some of your friends say about you at the time? Um,
Yeah.
like, oh man, this kid.
I was just always a goofball, like
Yeah.
always trying to get a laugh,
Okay.
always sarcastic.
So you got really good grades?
No,
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 you didn't. Oh,
no. I
that's
was
a
just
surprise.
telling somebody this morning. Fast forward, I helped run a school over in Morrisdale. And I was just telling someone this morning at a school board meeting that as far as I hardly passed high school,
Right.
just by the skin of my teeth. When I
Yeah.
got to Elizabethtown, they had told me I'd failed so many classes my ninth grade year. They said if I don't, I had to keep, I think a C average or higher, or I wouldn't have graduated on time.
Yeah.
So,
And that was a struggle.
oh, that was a big
It
struggle.
was a big
Yeah, oh yeah.
struggle. So let me ask: was it a big struggle because you were just not down with it, or was it a
Yeah,
big struggle because you couldn't, like, you had
I
a
don't,
dyslexic or something?
no, because later on I did end up taking some college courses and went higher education, and I surprised myself that I could do it.
Hmm.
I just never really put myself to it.
Right.
I would rather a laugh in high school than
Then study for a
and
test.
we're just running out with friends.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
I
plenty
didn't
more to
get
do than to get a
yeah,
good grade.
I didn't
Yeah.
really party much in high school, but it was like that was just running around with
Yeah.
guys and
Yeah. Yeah.
getting into trouble.
Yeah. Next thing you know, it's 3 in
Yeah,
the morning, and
yeah.
well, who cares about a test?
And you
I
got a
get it.
final tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, well,
Hmm.
hopefully I remember.
I remember my stepdad. He's probably the smartest guy I've ever known in my entire life.
Yeah.
He's wildly smart. And the whole time I was in high school and grade school, like, I knew from probably about sixth grade
Hmm.
that this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, this actually doesn't matter. There's nothing here that is going to follow me anywhere. It's
Right.
not up to me. And part of that was because at 11 years old, I started working in
Yeah.
like grown up world. By 12, 13, I was working in a hot rod shop.
Yeah.
By 12, I was working in a hot rod shop. By 13, I was working full time at a landscaping business with like
Okay.
grown adults,
Yeah.
and like looking around, and like they were like, none of these guys took anything that seriously, and they all drove trucks and had
Yeah.
houses and wives and kids,
I
and
figured it out.
like we went out to dinner every night and
Yeah.
got steaks, and I'm like, actually, none of this matters.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's not probably a good thing to say to your
No.
kids, but my stepdad would always, and my mom would always tell me, like, this matters. You got to knuckle down. You're a smart kid.
Yeah.
You should really do better in school. You should apply yourself. And I can remember my first day of college.
Hmm.
My stepdad was like, I'm going to drive you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to college. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need a ride.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I want to drive you. And so I said, okay, it's cool. Thought it would be a fun day. And he drove me over. And while we're driving over there, he's like, I'm just going to let you in on a little secret, Daniel. I'm like, what is it? He's like, all those times we told you that all that mattered,
Yeah.
it didn't really matter that much.
Right.
He's like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
He's like, some people don't need to study.
Right.
And he's like, you're probably one of those people.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, and then he then let me in on like, okay, now you're a grown up. Like we were just trying to make sure you finished
Right.
and didn't quit.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's kind of how I mean, clearly my parents took it seriously. Dad
Right.
went to, college and
Mm-hmm.
for ministry and whatnot. So Dad's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, academic.
But I can see now he's, get through school, man.
Yeah,
Like,
just don't be a doofus.
Yeah.
Like
Academic
the best
isn't your
doofus you could be.
strong point, but
Yeah.
you can do it.
You'll figure it out, kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, so you're barely getting through high school. You
Yeah.
finally do get through high school.
Yep.
Like, did you have any aspirations for college, or were you just gonna like go dig ditches? Like, what were you thinking at that point?
All throughout high school, I just did odd and end jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, just like cut guys' grass, the elders in church and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, hey, $20, I'll cut your grass.
There you go.
Some people throughout churches and businesses and stuff, and not to keep bringing it back to church, but that was just my life growing up.
Yeah, that's where you grew up.
So you
okay.
meet a lot of people, and
Mhm.
oh, the pastor's kid, you want to come and do this for me? And
yeah, pick
so
my weeds.
Yeah, I want
I'll give you
to say I had
$20.
yep. I didn't have like the strongest work ethic, but like it was. I knew that was something you had to do.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
A kid not having a strong work ethic.
So I knew it was something you had to do.
Interesting.
And Dad was always the guy who's like, hey, I had a few friends that parents owned businesses and stuff, and they were a little wealthy, and kids are getting money to go out the weekend.
Yeah,
and like,
sure.
Hey, Dad, can I get $20? Like, yeah, you can get $20. Like, go cut so and so's grass.
Perfect.
Like, if you want to go out to the mall this weekend, you can. I'm not stopping you.
Yeah, you can
But,
do whatever.
You go get the money.
Yeah, there is.
So that was always, that was always the thing. Like, I'm not giving you, like, I'll set you up. I'll talk to people for you and try to help you get that.
Yeah, he'll leverage his relationships,
but
for you.
You go get
but you got to get to it.
So at a young age, it's like, hey, I want to go to the mall this weekend. Yeah, I'll drive you. All right. Hey, your mom's free this week and she'll drive you over there, but
but you better find the money because you ain't getting it from us.
So always worked, and then I was really into the art program in Elizabethtown. So I was going to go down to the Art Institute of York for what was that? Graphic no, it would have been website, like a web page. Website development.
Yeah, you didn't get too far there though, huh?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got accepted, got in, and like a month or two before I was supposed to start, they dropped the program. There wasn't enough students to keep the program.
Okay.
So then they said, "Hey, why don't you? We have a good graphic design program." I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna work.
Like, what do you mean work?
Just get a job.
Just get a job.
Yeah,
figure it out.
Yeah. So at that point, there was a guy in the church that owned a concrete company, so they did street ADA ramps and stuff like that. And a lot of his work was down in Lancaster City, so he needed flaggers and go for guys. And, so it's like,
oh yeah,
hey, can I
go for some coffee?
Yeah. Just
can you go for my lunch pail?
Yep. Hey, you're gonna stand on the street here and flip the signs.
Yeah.
You're gonna go do this.
Don't get hit by a car, kid, because you're not covered by workers' comp.
So that was kind of my break into construction.
Okay. What did you think about it at that? So what are you, like 19, 18 years old?
18, 19. So I was doing that during the day. And then I was working, like, the Turnpike has those, like, Starbucks stops. And
really? Yeah.
So I was working on that at Starbucks.
Okay.
So just doing it, like...
Yeah, whatever.
And and my parents were the type of people, like, hey, again, you can live in our house. Like, you don't have to leave. But if you don't have a job or you're not going to school, you're not living here.
Right.
So it's like, we're not going to charge you rent.
Sure.
But you need to be...
moving in a direction.
Yeah.
You need to be, at the very least, a human being.
So at that point, I'm just working my butt off. And working with the concrete guys, I remember very vividly thinking, So there was a lot of old heads in there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, these guys are all like disgruntled, old, like hate life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's not me. I'm not doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I worked there that summer. I still kicked myself in the butt because I could have stayed there and worked there, but it was like, I'm not doing this. Like,
Yeah.
so they like over the winter they lay guys
Yeah, of
off, and
course.
I wasn't working full time, so it's kind of like,
No.
hey, we don't have work
We
for
don't
you.
need a flagger this
Right,
winter.
right.
We
So,
need someone who actually knows something.
so also at the time I'm
Who's
dating
got
my
4 kids.
yeah
Yeah. Like, we'll take that guy.
yeah. Also at that time I'm dating my now wife,
Oh, okay.
and she comes from a whole different background. She's 4 years older than me, so she's already out of college. And
You were punching above your weight.
yeah,
there.
I was. Yep.
Yeah, that's.
So she has her, out of all degrees to have, she has her elementary education degree from
Right on.
Westchester, and
Right on.
I'm just like, I don't, her parents come from her parents are completely different than mine, and really they were the ones that pushed me, like, hey, you're not doing anything, like you're just like you're working, but like
Where are you headed?
like what are you just working to work, or like
Yeah.
no vision, no.
Right.
So
I could have being a father of a daughter. I
Yeah.
could definitely see having that conversation with
so
some
she's
loser,
21
or
and
some
she brings
guy.
an 18-year-old guy back.
Look,
That's,
who's got like doesn't even have concrete under his fingernails.
but tells you
he's
he
got
works concrete.
he's like, oh, this sign, like my
Yeah.
wrist is real hurty.
Oh,
My
shoot,
my
yeah.
feet are so tired from standing on the
You're like,
pavement all day. At least if you had concrete under your fingernails, it'd be like, at least he's trying.
Yeah.
You got a trade he could fall on.
But yeah, that was not me. So they were. I mean, I still thank my father-in-law to this day. Like he pushed me.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I think at that point I kind of resented him. But I think looking back now, having kids now, it's like
Right.
I think he saw that I was kind of around for the long haul. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, like you got.
I got to make the best of this.
You
So
got to figure something out.
you got to figure something else out, because
So
my daughter's pretty special,
Yeah.
and you're a dime a dozen,
Yeah.
kid.
So somehow it all worked out, that I'm married to her, but
Yeah, like
at that,
all worked out.
yeah, but at that point I was just
Like I know you now, and you have more
Right.
skills than turning a flag.
right.
So
right.
like something happened in there.
So I would go over visit, and they would slip me little pamphlets at different colleges and stuff.
They were not so subtle.
They were like, hey, did
you ever think about this?
You ever think about that? It's like, so
Shake's over there like, I can't read this thing.
Yeah.
I literally can't read it. It's
So
got more than 4 letters.
I threw a huge curveball, and I'd always been interested in like this is going to be weird. It throws everybody off. I don't even know if I ever told you this, but was always interested in like hair, like barbershops and Lancaster.
Oh yeah. Right.
So it was like, Lancaster City had a good barber school, Champs.
Mm-hmm.
Should have went there, never did. But I threw a huge curveball. Like, if I'm going to go for hair, I'm going to go into cosmetology.
That's so awesome, dude. That's so awesome.
What was it? It would have been, I think it was 19. So I pretty much took a good year off, just worked, people telling me, like, hey, you got to figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
So
and you agreed.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I do you got to figure something out. But so I jumped up in Harrisburg, and there was an Empire Beauty School in Harrisburg, and I enrolled. And I remember walking in there, and they're like, whoa, like, this is our token. Maybe.
You were the diversity,
yes,
equality, and inclusion hire.
I'm a straight guy. I've always been pretty much this big, so like I've never been any smaller.
You're not a petite man. No.
And most guys in cosmetology are more flamboyant and very.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
So,
I could see
that. So
that.
I did it, and I jumped in. So that'd have been.
So if I need a cut and curl, you can hook me up, bro. Yeah. Right on. Yeah.
So yeah, I did that, and did real good at it. Like,
of course,
surprisingly.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, picked up and went
it's just work.
And, yeah, started cutting, and yeah. So that was in Harrisburg. I did that. That was like a 9-month program. and I was just like, it was just my niche. Like I loved going to barber shops, talking shop with those guys, going into salons, talking with the owners, and I was just like trying to get myself out there
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm gonna get out of here,
Mm-hmm.
gonna get a job, and I always had like big ambition. I got big ambition in there because I saw a lot of these like you can make some good money in that
Yeah.
industry, and
Yeah. Sure.
so I was kind of I'm not gonna go work for Holiday Hair or this or that or
Yeah. We're gonna get into
like
something
I'm gonna
cool.
get in a high end salon and
Yeah.
we're gonna make something of it, and so yeah, I did, and within like couple months proposed to my wife and we got married the next year, so that'd have been 2012.
Right on. So
Yeah,
you were cutting hair?
yeah, cutting hair
Yeah.
full time and
Like in a barber shop or in a
in a
salon?
salon. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I would have been in Camp Hill at that time.
No
Yeah,
kidding. No kidding.
yep, so I
Did
was
you
in there.
like? Did you have specialty? Did you have like a thing that you did a lot of?
Just cut like
Yeah,
because
like women's hair,
um
or were you mostly the guy
I was
cutting?
kind of the guy, but i cut I cut a good amount of women's hair
Hmm.
too, and but
I wouldn't even know where to start.
yeah,
That's so
my
wild to me.
my thing was like a lot of, especially in the salon, it was a lot of hair coloring and chemicals and stuff on that end, and I never really, I was okay at it. Like
Right.
I could make money out of it, but I wasn't doing anything crazy like specialty stuff. It was just cutting,
Yeah.
and I always kind of admired the barbershop stuff, so
Yeah.
kind of trying to mesh those two worlds. And there was a few guys I met that were in the Harrisburg area and
Mm-hmm.
doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, so did that for a while, and that industry is a lot like the food industry as far as um sorry,
Yeah. No worries.
as far as late nights
All right.
tips, you're working off tips and
Mm-hmm.
commission, and you're out partying, and
Hmm. Yeah.
so throw a 21-year-old in that mix.
Yeah.
Grew up in very, I wouldn't say my parents were super strict, but semi strict
Conservative.
religious. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Makes sense.
and now I'm out of the house for the first time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's more of a homebody, and I'm just out running around, just partying like nonstop. And
No kidding.
so, where
Yeah.
does that lead?
Yeah.
Like that's
Nowhere good.
that's
I don't
no
think. I don't
nowhere
think
good. So I'm out.
that's probably not a recipe for long term
No.
success,
So
especially in a
again,
marriage.
yeah. So again, the fact that I'm still married to Sarah is a blessing in
Yeah.
itself. But
It's a miracle.
yeah, so you're 21, running around partying with a bunch of women, and that was work. So it's like, hey, babe, like
Yeah.
I'm working. Like
I'm
this is
working
work.
here.
Like I gotta network, and I gotta go out
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
bars,
Yeah.
and gotta
Yeah.
go.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very convenient.
So after I worked there for a while, that place ended up actually going belly up, and that was just, long story short, was the management of that,
Yeah.
and it was wild. It was just
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's not how you run a good
no,
business.
no.
Yeah.
All your employees are just partying
Yeah.
nonstop,
That's.
drinking at work,
Yep.
drinking when they leave work,
Yep.
come into work hungover,
Hmm.
and
Yeah. I don't care what kind of business you run,
right,
if it's an accounting firm
right,
or a restaurant or anything like that.
yeah,
That is just not a recipe for
yeah,
success. Like, there has to be some standard in any
yeah,
industry, and that standard might be wildly different depending on the
right,
industry and depending on your clientele. Like, I
yep,
know I've worked for companies where, um, sorry, I've worked for companies where the standard that was set was you party till
mhm,
3 in the morning, but everyone's going to be here at 5:30 a.m. And if
right,
you're not, you're gone,
yep.
and you're going to work your guts out all
So you'll
day
figure it
long.
out. Yeah.
And but if you can't hack that life,
Mhm.
then you're done. But the
Yeah.
standard is when you're here, it's 100% game on,
Yep.
no messing around.
Yeah.
And then when you get off, it's party time.
Yeah.
And that whole like work hard, play hard idea, that could be the standard in a place, but there has to be some.
Right.
And if
Yep.
you don't, and if the management is partying
Yeah.
just as hard, and
Right.
like, yeah,
That
I
was a
mean,
recipe for
yeah,
disaster. And
yeah,
so,
you see that a lot in barbershops, tattoo
right.
shops, restaurants,
Yeah, tattoo
bars.
shops are
Like, it's
very
all
similar to
it's
that. Yeah.
all very
Yep.
similar. And the ones that stay around long term, they set a standard just like
Correct.
anywhere else and
Yeah.
say, nope, this is what we do,
Yep.
this is what we don't do. this is acceptable, this is not acceptable.
Correct.
We,
Yeah.
I mean, my tattoo shop, they open at like 11,
Mm-hmm.
but that's their standard.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get here at 11,
Then you're not
then
working.
you don't work here,
Yeah.
and you have to be here at 11.
Yeah.
But that means you could tattoo till 3 in the morning.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
11 o'clock, we open
Yeah.
the door, and
Yep.
and you got to be in your seat,
Yep.
ready to work, and then get your appointments. And and the guys who own it, they set that up and said, this is what we do. We don't have to be here at 7 in the morning.
Right.
11.
Right.
Cool.
Yep.
You can still have fun.
So that was pretty much life for like a good year.
Yeah, I mean, so how did you like? Sometime in here, you're like,
So
I got to go to work for real.
So what
happens?
I end up.
Not that isn't work.
Yeah,
because it is real. It's actually
I was
very
making
hard.
good money,
and it's work. It's not like
at 21. I'm
nothing,
making. We're living. My wife's working. I'm working, but looking back on it, it's just like I could see the trajectory of my life just running. Yeah, but in it, it's like, wow, this is amazing.
It's a good time.
I have cash. I'm
man, tips are awesome, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's just like, babe, we're going out to eat. Like, pick the place.
Sure, anywhere.
Like,
because I've got cash.
Yeah.
I don't have any like money, but I have plenty of cash in my pocket.
But so that place gives belly up. Worked there for like a year. Ended up deciding I worked other salons and stuff, intermediate, and then I decided, hey, I'm going to go back and get my teaching license for cosmetology.
Ah, okay.
And that was the reason I had done that, is because people can actually, you can still work salon and you can still, it's more of a professional, now I'm a teacher. Like I get my benefits, I get my schedule. I know I'm working from this time to this time. I get vacation pay. It's like,
you're like a real boy.
Yeah. So I thought. So I go back to school for that. And get that. And again, go back to the same school in Harrisburg. And everyone loves me there. It was great. And I just loved being liked. Like everyone's just like, I was the guy, I guess. I don't know. And I did well again. Liked. And they basically, before I even started there, they were like, hey, if you do this program, like, we'll give you a job afterwards. So like, just get your schooling done. Like, we already know that you could do it, so just get it done and do it. Yeah. So did it, and we're up to like 2013, 14, get a job right away in the school there, teaching nights. So again, I'm like trying to put myself in a more professional atmosphere, but I'm like working the salon during the days now, working nights. So I'm still never home. So the first 2-3 years of my marriage is like in and out. Hey, babe. Like, hey, it's the weekend. We'll go out. Like, or hey, I'm going out with so-and-so's, Yeah. So again, you put yourself in that atmosphere. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. And long story short, it's just, I made some very poor decisions that almost cost me my marriage, cost me my reputation that I spent 3 years building in Harrisburg, and pretty much left. So I worked that for a year, teaching for a year, and pretty much screwed up big time to the point where it was like, either I leave or I'm getting fired, and I'm getting like my whole reputation's done just because I've just partied my life into They gave you an A, and then you earned yourself an F. An F,
They're like, everyone starts with an A, and then
I did well, like, and on the surface I did well, but behind the scenes it was just a disaster and running everything in, and I ended up, it would have been Labor Day of 2014. I'm sitting in my car. Wife kicked me out. Ugh. Nobody knows the truth. I've lied to every single person in my life. Pretty much. The night before, my wife like threw a bag at me and was like, "Get your stuff out and go.
Get the heck out of here.
And we'll figure
the rest out some other day.
Yeah, but like you're
not today."
And I was pretty much like, "What do I do?"
Yeah. That's a pretty lonely spot.
Yeah. So to catch up, so I grew up in, Harrisburg, Lancaster area most of my life. My mom's side of the family is all up here, so that's where my cousin Alan comes into the
Mm-hmm.
picture. So me and him have been tight since day one,
Mm.
and I was like, I'm going to Alan. Like I'm gonna
Mm.
get him in on like, which I'd already lied my butt off to him like about things. And,
Everything's
yeah,
cool.
oh yeah, dude, everything's great down here, and like he's like, hey, dude, what's going on with you guys? Like, I have nothing,
Yeah.
nothing at all. Like everything's
Oh
great.
man.
So that week I drive up to him. It's like, hey, bro, you got a couch I can sleep on? It's like, come out. Like, actually, no. Like, you're not coming to my house for one. Come
Ugh.
out on the porch here and like just stares at me. He's like, you screwed up.
Ugh.
Like your wife's calling me, asking me what's going on with you.
Yeah.
Your parents are calling me. Like, what the hell is he doing?
What is this kid doing?
And you just want to come to me and
Let's just
sleep
hang
on my
out.
couch? Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, I'm married now. I have a life that I'm building, and you've ruined it all.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh. So no one, like, I'm homeless. Like, my wife kicked me out. My own, like, best man, like, won't even take me in. And I'm like,
Yeah.
a huge, heavy dose of reality hits you
Yeah.
all at once.
Yeah.
I think that was, sadly enough, that was, like, the biggest, like, if your wife kicking you out isn't, like, a big enough slap in the face.
Right.
But, like, my dude, like,
For
hey,
some,
hey
like,
dude, like,
yeah. Yeah.
like, you
This is
screwed
real
up
bad.
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because and again, your wife kicking you out that is for anyone listening, all
Yeah.
10 of you, like that is a serious
Mhm.
like red flag.
Yeah.
If people are like removing you from their life.
Right.
But for a lot of us, we are so good at compartmentalizing
Right.
and so good at like pretending and lying that like like you could be successful in your career side
Mhm.
and your whole life falling apart, but you are
Right.
like, but I'm fine
Right.
because I make money,
Yep.
right? And our identity becomes that task that
Yep.
we're doing, and sometimes it's a trusted relative or
Mhm.
friend, and I would say probably 90% of the time it's a dude
Yeah.
who's like,
Right.
stop with the lying, bro.
Yeah.
Like, no, you can't
Yeah.
come in my house. No, you're gonna stand out on the
Yeah.
porch, like, and that's enough to that's like a
Yeah.
cold water
Yeah.
on the face at that point.
Yeah.
So wow.
So that was that.
Yeah.
That was a huge hit. So I'm like, wow. So here I am in Phillipsburg. Like,
Which so to set the stage, Phillipsburg is a very small,
oh,
very
tiny,
rural
tiny. Yeah.
kind of, and anyone who lives in Phillipsburg, I do enjoy Phillipsburg.
Mhm.
It's kind of a dinky dump.
Yeah.
And there's like one hotel that I
Yep.
wouldn't have my a friend or any enemies of mine stay in. Like, no thanks, I'm not interested. Like, I don't want you getting bed bugs even
Yeah.
if I don't like you. Like, it's
It's
not
a
like a
classy
great
joint.
place. The Harbor Inn is not a great place. Okay, it's just
Shout
not.
out.
Shout out to Harbor Inn. But yeah, like
Yeah.
Harrisburg's a city,
Right.
and like
Yep.
there's lots of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Phillipsburg is like the woods.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you wind up in Phillipsburg.
Yeah, I'm just sitting
with
there.
Alan.
I'm sitting in Sheets right next to the Harbor Inn.
Which Sheets, shout out to Sheets, best place
shout
on
out.
earth.
Yep.
Bucky's
Oh.
can go. I mean, they might be big Bucky's, but you're
Yeah.
no Sheets, okay?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
So there I sit and like, what now?
so what now?
Yeah. So what now?
Yeah.
So that's where I was at that point. Week of Labor Day 2014. And it's like, again, not to keep bringing like religion into it, but that's always played a big, like those 3 years of my life, I pretty much lived for myself and threw that all out. I was still going to church every Sunday, which is funny.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. Because I hit it all. And I was playing, I was leading worship and like playing on the
You're why
teams
people
and,
hate going to church.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Yeah, for
literally
sure.
why. At that
and it
time.
just like all hit me at once. Like,
yeah.
that's the stuff that it's flooding my brain. Like,
Yeah.
my wife left me. Like, I am the reason people hate church. I am the reason people think we're all hypocrites. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, I'm just a
You're like,
sleazeball.
yep,
And,
I am a sleazeball.
and my best friend won't even let me come in his house. And
dude, you're in trouble,
yeah,
man.
so I'm like, wow.
You're in
so again,
much
like,
trouble.
it was just a huge. And so I call up my one aunt that lives in Lancaster City. I fill her in, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh,
what a doof!
You can come and sleep on my couch, but you've got to figure some stuff out quick."
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, I'm in Phillipsburg. I'll be down in like 2 hours, and I'll see you then. And she's like, yeah, and you got to figure it out.
Mm. Mm.
So at that point, my pastor had known everything had happened. I call him up on my way back down, like
Mm-hmm.
just 2 hour ride of just thinking. Call him. It's like, dude, this is what's going on. He's like, okay, yeah, Sarah filled me in. Like, are you gonna make this work? Are you done? Or like, I don't know what to do, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, all right, and he's like, do you want to make it work? Like, yeah, I do. I think I do. And I really, yeah.
I don't like being homeless. This sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Right. Like,
yeah.
Like
And
mac and cheese is better than this.
yeah. So he's like, all right. And that, thankfully, like, he really, really just started me over. It's like, kind of just started me from scratch. Like, all right, dude, like, there's this guy in church that needs some help. He runs a construction company. He just needs some help cleaning out this demo house, and you're just gonna toss crap in the dumpster. And it's like, okay, and this and that. And so I take long story short, just working odd and end jobs for another year. I do patch stuff up with my wife, and I just really get involved back in the church again for like the first time of my adult life at like 20. I think I'm 24 at this time.
Mm-hmm.
First time in my adult life that I'm like really sincerely honest to everyone I meet.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how's it going? Well, it really sucks. Like, and this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I just threw concrete in a dumpster for the last 12 hours.
Yeah. And
it was awesome.
So this one old head at church, like 70-year-old guy,
mm-hmm.
pulls me aside towards the end of 2014. He's like, Jake, I've been going to Ecuador for the past decades. Every year it goes to Ecuador.
Yeah.
Or every other, I don't know what it was, but he's like, I think I want you to go with me next year.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, no, I think it's going to be good for you.
Okay.
It's going to be 2 weeks, and it's going to be hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be good for you. You need some hard work in your life. And I'm like,
I think you do.
Right on. And like, oddly enough, he didn't really know all the ins and outs of what I'm going through in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward, we go, I had started some courses at HAC, Harrisburg Area Community College.
Yeah.
So I was doing that, but that's just like, oh, this sucks. Taking like a psychology 101 class. And I'm like, hey, maybe I get into counseling. I'm doing a lot of counseling at that time. So I'm like, I understand this.
Right. I need counseling. Maybe I can help someone else.
So I'm just like, hey, Paul, like, this is the old guy, like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Like, I'm taking these stupid classes at college, and like, I don't know, like, what am I even doing? He's like, that's why I want you to go with me, man. Like,
yeah.
So long story short, we go down, and it's just 2 weeks of masonry work.
More than the flag, or
no? Like,
no flag.
No,
okay.
Like laying brick, mixing mortar.
Yeah,
which was nuts. Like, the first time I get like solid construction, I'm like literally mixing mortar. Like, here's the sand, here's the porcelain, you're mixing all this, you're putting this all together. You're, it's this third world like construction. And this is
you're the concrete truck.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, dude just tells me like, I think you could do this. Like, I really think we're working for 2 weeks, and he's like, I like working with you, and I think you could do this. And I'm like, all right. And I got back to the States.
Yeah.
Went into HAC, dropped out.
Perfect.
Got my papers. Decided to go, literally dropped out. Got my papers. Went down to Thaddeus Stevens.
Okay. Thaddeus Stevens is an engineering school, or
Thaddeus Stevens would be a tech school. So like kind of a secondary trade school. They offer
I know they do HVAC.
Associates. So associates is the highest
degree.
they go.
Oh, okay.
And that Penn Tech, they have like relationship with them. So a lot of guys will transfer their associates and get the finish up.
Right, finish up at Penn Tech, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to do construction, but I don't know where to start. Like, and I just heard like something about, oh, Thaddeus Stevens is offering a new residential construction program.
Thingamajig.
And like
Yeah.
as I'm on my way to Hack to pull my stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop by their admissions
Yeah.
office before I hit the road back up to Elizabethtown. I'm already in Lancaster, and
Yeah.
so I do, and they're like, hey, yeah, perfect.
We'll
Sign
take your
everything up.
money.
Like, oh, cool, yeah. Here's my credits from Hack, you know, and that was like that Hack kind of taught me like I wasn't stupid. Like I understood school. I didn't get bad grades in college,
Right.
so I did 2 semesters there and like actually got good grades and
Right.
took it serious, but hated it. And
Yeah.
so I jumped over there and did some stuff at Thaddeus Stevens. Dropped out of there too,
Perfect.
yeah. So I never. That was my last like schooling. So I have a cosmetology degree, a cosmetology teaching degree, credits at Hack, and credits at Thaddeus Stevens.
So, that's so good,
Yeah.
man. I
So
love that. I
yeah.
love that. So you wind up in Ecuador doing some masonry,
Mm-hmm.
which then transitions you into like, I think I want to do
Yeah.
construction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So
And
what did like your wife think of that? Because you
she,
were patching it up with her
yeah,
and like you're
patching up
back
with her, and
together and
she's
like,
just like kind of like, you got to figure something out.
yeah, because she's tired of carrying you
Yeah, tired
around.
of carrying
Like,
the team on the back,
yeah, she's
and I'm like, you know what?
that's a
Yeah.
tough
So
lady.
she's kind of like, she's like, hey, I think like you liked it,
Yeah.
like, and I think it might be good, like,
Hmm.
and I knew a lot of construction workers, but just never. I don't. My mindset was still, I don't want to be that 50-year-old like worn
Crotchety
out
old
dude.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting because um, it just goes to show like the first kind of like your primary experiences with something
Mm-hmm.
sort of set the stage for your brain,
Right.
and that's how you think about it. And
Mm-hmm.
so like my primary or initial contact with the trades was these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Like they own their own shop,
Mm-hmm.
they build cool stuff,
Yeah.
you know, they would, for me, the older guys, they looked at me, this young, small,
Yeah.
weak, lazy kid, and they're like, well, if you show up at this time
Mm-hmm.
and you do these things, we'll treat you like a human being.
Yeah.
And if you don't, we will not treat you like a
Right.
human being. And I thought that was a good deal.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a good deal for me.
Yeah.
And I looked at those guys and went, man, they're awesome. And
Yeah.
so my like mind thinking about the trades from 12 years old was those are cool people
Right.
and I want to be like them.
Right. Yep.
Where you had the opposite
Yeah.
experience. You looked at those crotchety old dudes who
Yeah.
worked on road
Uh-huh.
construction and you're like, oh, they look awful.
Yeah.
And I think as now you're a grown up,
Right.
and there are young guys that are 19, 20
Right.
years old looking at you and the
Yeah.
work you do. They're looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be the crotchety old guys,
Right.
or are we going to be those people who set a standard that's
Right.
something that these young people want to emulate?
Right.
They want to be like, I look at the way you live your life,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like a life like that.
Yeah.
I see that it's hard,
Yeah.
but I see that it's good.
Yeah.
And that's something that
Yeah.
all of us that are in the trades, we better get a handle on,
Right.
or things are going to
Yeah.
get real weird real
Yeah.
fast.
It's gonna get whacked out.
It's going to get real. Like we've already missed multiple generations.
Right.
We're
Right.
looking at guys who are in their late 50s, and the next guy under them is in their 30s.
Yep.
And we missed everyone in between.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's bad. It's
What's
really
your?
bad.
I don't even know your age.
I'm 43.
Okay.
So
There's still guys in there, but yeah, you're right.
yeah, no,
Like,
I was just
the
down in
40s
North
almost
Carolina.
missed it.
I was just down in North Carolina for doing some disaster relief work for Hurricane Helene, and I'm driving by all these linemen.
Mm-hmm.
They're all in their 50s,
Yeah.
or they're all kids.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like I know plenty of linemen
Right.
that are not 50,
Right.
60, and I know that are in their 30s. But the truth is, there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And I think it's because our world, our culture, our schools and our experiences have
Right.
told these kids like that sucks.
Yeah.
don't be like those
Yeah.
guys,
Yep.
and no one's ever told them like the fringe benefits. And even those guys that you worked with
Right.
at 19 or
Yeah.
18, I bet you they weren't as crotchety as you thought.
No.
They were
No.
probably having a pretty good
They're
time.
me now.
Yeah, they
They're
were
me.
probably having a good old
Yeah.
time. And if you looked a little closer, you would have seen them
Oh,
joking and
yeah.
smiling
Yeah.
and like, yeah,
Yeah.
they were okay.
Yeah.
You just got a weird
Yeah. So,
taste from it, and
yeah.
you were filtering it through your own
Right.
lens.
And I laugh
Like,
now because it's like the reason I said when I'm working for that company at 19, the concrete company, I kicked
mhm.
myself in the butt is because it's like, dude, if I would have just stuck with that. So from 19 to 25, I just had a like period that just all crashed and burned. And I
Yeah,
have nothing to show for it. Like,
right.
sure, I could cut your hair, but like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Correct. Yeah, but no, you lost
yeah, I
all that
lost a
time.
lot. Yeah.
And if you would have had a different set of experiences,
Right.
you would have been further along.
Yeah.
But the truth
That is what it
is that's what you needed.
And that was the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
Like,
You
listen
learned.
to the Virgin Pete up there.
Mhm.
He's saying, like tuition payments.
Yeah.
That was a tough tuition payment.
Yeah,
to play.
it cost you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It cost a lot. And thankfully, I have a beautiful wife and 2 sons and
Mhm.
and a lot to show for now. But
Yeah.
at that point in my life, I couldn't see much past, like,
Yeah.
hey,
Your boots.
where's
like,
where's the work at? Like, I
Yeah.
need to figure something
Yeah.
out.
So you go to Thaddeus Stevens. You take a couple classes, and you're like, I'm just going to go to work now, or what?
Thankfully, the shout out Charles Byers. That dude was a pivotal guy in my life.
Okay,
Because,
who was he?
So he would have been the main residential professor, residential remodeling professor,
Contract.
Yeah, and he's
construction professor.
Yeah,
okay,
construction professor.
That's like a cool title, actually.
Yeah,
like
and
professor
he
of
took
construction.
it serious, man. Like he took it really serious. We had 2 hours of like you're sitting down and I'm at the whiteboard and I'm showing you we're going through blueprints. We're going through this, that, and the other. Like we're going through textbooks. And I remember kids weeded out of there quick.
Yeah, I bet.
There's a lot. I'm 25 at this point. There's a lot of 17 18-year-old kids in there. At this
right
point,
out
I'm
of high school.
like, I'm here, dude. Like, I need every single ounce of. And this guy has a history of just running companies. He's
a legit dude.
He has the experience to back it, and and he's the type of guy that after class I'd stop by his office and like, hey, like, I didn't understand this today, or like, hey, could you show like how did that all work out? So hey, you're gonna build a workbench, and here's your blueprint. And I'm after class, it's like, hey, like I ran into a few problems. Yeah, come in.
Yeah,
like so, and there weren't a lot of kids who did it.
Right.
And he like really poured. He was the type of dude who just poured into people that wanted it.
Yeah,
and I think it reminds me of the parable after Jesus is sharing this parable. The disciples come to Jesus afterward and said, like, everyone left and they never asked what the parable meant. And he's like, yeah, the ones that left, like, that wasn't for them, but like you came back to me, so let me explain to you.
Yeah.
And he was like that kind of guy. Like, yeah, I taught today, I gave you my all, and you came back and like wanted to digest it more.
Yeah.
And he
was happy to help.
Yeah, he was super stoked to help. And still to this day, I email him, still stay in contact with him on Facebook.
That's awesome.
Share with him what I'm doing. And he shares
he's probably
with
proud
me what
of
he's doing.
you.
Yeah, he's like, he's cool. And
yeah.
And so I did a whole year of that. I was in a 2-year program, did a whole year of that. And they pushed big on internships after the first year. You got a year under your belt, go out and work for the summer.
Yeah.
So I oddly enough, concrete again.
This guy hates concrete. He hates concrete so much.
And
back to your roots.
Yep. And doing concrete this summer, and I'm like, my wife's like, hey, I think, like, we're getting like, I'm 25, she's 3 years older than me, so it's that 28. Like, let's have kids. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that.
That is part of the. That's part of the deal.
But I'm like, I'm in school and I'm It's like, yeah, we can do it. Like, you gotta, like, I'm doing concrete,
Mm-hmm.
working, making good money. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, is this what you want to do? Like, I don't know about concrete, but yeah, I'm doing construction. Like, this
Yeah.
is me now.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I loved it. Like, I
Yep.
love doing, I, what I hated before is like everything I love now. It's like, oh,
Mm.
we're doing it. We're
Mm-hmm.
like out doing 88 ramps. So like everything I left at 19, I'm right back there at 25, 26.
Yeah.
And so I remember calling up my professor like over the summer, like, hey, could I meet with you? Yeah, what's up? I come in the office and again, like, dude, this is where I'm at, man. Like, my wife wants kids.
I
And
can't
you
be in
pushed me to get
school.
an internship, and I did get an internship, and it's pretty solid. And like, I don't really want to come back next month.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? It's like, don't come back.
This guy's awesome.
Yeah. He's like, no.
He's the man.
He's like, he's like, next month, the same kids are going to be back. And it's for them, you know? Like, this is an 18-year-old program.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you figured it out. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, go have kids
Go
and
get a
work.
job.
And like, yeah,
Yeah.
and work.
Go work.
And I'm not gonna like look down on you at all.
Oh, that's
And I
awesome.
was like, for real?
Yeah.
Yeah, like drop out, go.
Mm-hmm.
And I never looked back, man.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I just want to like pause there for a second
Mm-hmm.
because I think each one of us in our life, to get kind of philosophical a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like we all need somebody in our life to not just believe in us, like your mom believes in you.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
your grandma's like, you're
Yeah.
such a handsome boy.
Yeah.
You're not handsome,
Right.
but
Right.
but you believe them,
Right.
right? And you somebody told you were handsome when you were
Yeah.
6, and you still think you're handsome.
Yeah.
It was your grandma,
Right.
But
Right.
and that's fine. We need that kind of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain time in every young man's life,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be when they're 19, 16, 26,
Mm-hmm.
they need somebody to not just believe in them because they're a human,
Right.
but actually believe in them because you show them your value,
Mm-hmm.
and then pour into you, like give you skills, real skills,
Yeah.
and then release you.
Yep.
To like pat you on the butt,
Yeah.
say you made it, you accomplished what you needed to here. It's time to go, buddy.
Yeah.
And like culturally, and I think most families, we don't do anything like that.
Right.
We're just like, oh, you graduated high school. Well, now on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And then, oh, now on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But we actually need somebody who isn't going to sugarcoat it, isn't
Right.
going to be like, oh yeah, you're a handsome young
Yeah.
lad.
Right.
They're going to say, no, you really suck at this.
Right.
Or, hey man, you're doing good. Like you got it.
Right.
Now it's time for you to go.
Yeah.
You needed that
Yep.
in your
Yeah,
life.
I did,
And
yeah.
he was the one who was there for you
Mm-hmm.
in the way that you needed him at the
Yep.
time that you needed him.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
but not everybody gets that.
Right.
And
Right.
we wonder why these 22, 25, 28, 32, 36-year-old guys are quitting jobs every 6 months and
Right.
not able to hold anything down. I think, like on a deep level, it's because no one has
Right.
ever challenged them, held them to account,
Mm-hmm.
allowed them to fail, encouraged them to succeed, and then patted them on the butt and said, get the heck out of here,
Right.
kid. You're not a kid anymore. You're
Yeah.
grown up.
Yeah.
That kind of relationship is gone.
Right.
I know that I had that growing up. I had got like one of the first tasks that I had when I started landscaping was I was 13 years old. Well, I was 14. I had done snow removal all winter long.
Mm-hmm.
So like shoveling snow all winter
Yeah.
long. And the summer came and I'm like, cool, I'm going to go get on a mower. I'm going to get
Mhm.
a weed whacker. I'm going to be with the boys.
Yeah.
Well, I would ride my bicycle down to their shop, and Ward Vreeland would send all the boys off to go mow and
Mm-hmm.
put in patios, and he would look at me and he'd say, hop in the truck. And he'd take me to his house, and he had a mountain of wood,
Mm-hmm.
like rounds, big, small, just all junk wood
Mm-hmm.
left over from tree work. And he gave me a 5-gallon can and said, I'll be back when I get back. have fun, split wood.
Mm-hmm.
And I split wood for an entire summer by myself in a field,
Yeah.
like a literal mountain. And it
Mm-hmm.
was, I was a little kid, and every once in a while, like the guys would come to his house like once a week on like a Wednesday, I think. And
Yeah.
they'd walk out back and they'd see me and they'd say, "Hey, what do you need help with?" And they'd roll these big 5 foot diameter logs onto the
Yeah.
log splitter and split them in half just so I could handle them.
Right.
And then they'd leave.
Yeah.
And he might come at 2 in the afternoon. He might come at 7 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I had no one watching me, no nothing. And I hated it. The first couple weeks, I didn't do anything.
Right.
I just sat there and was like, "Oh, I guess I'll just whatever." By the end of the summer, I was splitting wood like a freaking woodchuck. I was a
Mm-hmm.
beaver back
Yeah.
there, right? Years later, I was probably like 19 years old. We were sitting at the card table in the shop. I was maybe 19 or 20. And he had given me some responsibility, allowed me to like lead a crew.
Mm-hmm.
He was giving me like my own route to go do fertilizer, like a truck, a trailer, a
Yeah.
machine to do the fertilization, and a list. And I had to do it. I had to send people bills. I'm a 19-year-old kid, you know?
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Wayne, Ward, why did you make me split all that wood back then?"
Right.
Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And Ward told me that night, he goes, "I made you split that wood when you were 14 so you could sit here with us today."
Yeah.
Like, he saw something in me way back then when I was just a lazy punk kid.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I want this kid at my table eventually. I
Mm-hmm.
think he's got what it takes." And they didn't take it easy
Like
on me. They
proving
made
ground.
fun of me.
Yeah.
They beat me up.
Yeah.
But I needed that. That's what I needed at that time.
Yeah.
You know, I needed that person to say, "And now you're a grown up."
Yeah.
And that sounds like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
this guy was for you. Like,
yeah, it was.
now you're
Yeah.
ready to go, kid.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
awesome.
gonna take my sweatshirt off here.
Oh, okay. All right, everybody. He's getting a little warm.
Yeah.
It's the cap.
The something on it. Sorry.
It's the Zins.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, no worries. Here you go.
Sorry about that.
No, no worries. We aren't even going to take this out. This is just going to be. There's no editing here. This is just what it is.
So I think I needed that. It was neat. It was yeah. I thought, to be honest, I thought he was gonna, because you go to a college, they're all about, they want the data sheets. They want, oh, Jake graduated. He got a good job. He got this,
Mhm.
that, and Byers is like, dude, just go do it. Like,
Mhm.
you know enough now.
Yeah.
Which was cool because it was really like foundational. Like, you get there and it's like, who knows how to read a tape measure day one? I'm like,
No.
a couple kids are like, oh, we went to Vote Tech,
Right.
and I'm
They
like,
probably felt like they had a leg up.
Right. I'm like, honestly, kind of, but not really. I mean,
Yeah.
at 25, I never really.
Sure.
But he's like, okay, so you guys okay, and he starts throwing fractions at us, like
Mhm.
2 3/8 minus an eighth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's 2 1/4.
I was like,
Oh,
no.
I'm putting my own self in the spot. But,
Yeah.
so it started foundational. After a year, he really poured into us. So I start working, and that was my thing from then. And I was pretty much set on staying in Lancaster. My cousin Alan, that was another thing. We patched our relationship up.
Nice.
And,
That's good.
But I remember him saying, dude, you need to move up to Clearfield County.
Really?
Get up here with me, man.
Nice.
I'm like, never. Never in a million years will I move up there. And he's like, why not, dude? Come on. So that was at that time, and I'm just working construction, and he would always, at that point, he has architecture background. He's not an architect, but he's working architecture and
architect design.
Yeah, design stuff. And he would always throw ideas at me, what if we did design build, man? Yeah, that'd be cool, but I'm not moving up.
Yeah.
So
design build in Lancaster County.
Yeah, come on down, buddy.
Yeah. Well, in Lancaster County, for anybody who doesn't know,
Right.
Lancaster County is a world unto itself.
It
is a whole nother world.
Yeah.
There is so much going on. There's always work. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and people work
Right.
It is not a place. If
Oh
you're going
yeah.
to be lazy,
No,
and you're
that's
not going to
not.
make it in Lancaster County.
So that's where I kind of cut my
Yeah.
teeth, like in the construction. So
They don't care.
I'm doing, and I'm
It's tough.
jumping a few different jobs at that time. I get hooked up with some Mennonites, and it's like we're
Yeah.
roofing.
Don't
so
go
I'm
to
roofing with some Mennonites, and
one day you're roofing, the next day you're building a pool. Who knows?
Yeah,
like they're crazy.
Shirk Brothers, and
shout
they're
out.
doing it. And then I'm doing concrete. So I'm cutting my teeth on everything. I worked with some home builders for a little bit. I've worked this, that, and the other, but I was never finding my niche, and oddly enough, I go back to the very same job I leave at 19, and they hire me back on, and
they probably didn't even remember you.
Oh no, they did. It was.
Oh, they did.
Oh yeah.
They're like you again.
The guy that owns Doug Lamb Construction. He owns the company. He had gone to our church.
Oh,
so
okay.
He's kind of seen.
Yeah. Okay.
So I kind of come back to him at some point. It's like, because at this point my wife is pregnant.
Hmm?
And it's like, I need
you need real money now.
I got a construction background. Like I get it now.
Yeah.
But like now I need you're messing with prevailing wage stuff over there, and you're like
I
can make a career.
You can make a living,
and
a real good life.
You got a little bit of concrete background, but I don't really need any finishers. To be honest, I need CDL, diggies, jacking out the ramps. I want you to have your CDL. I want you to be able to. So you're basically excavator. If you want to come on, that's kind of what I need, and I'll bring you on. But that's what I need.
Oof.
And I'm like, oh shoot, I don't want to go get my CDL. And I'm an all right finisher. I can hang in there, but I'm not that's not my forte. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's like, well, that's what I need.
Yeah.
So I go home. I talk to Sarah. It's like, hey, Doug said he'd hire me on, but I need to get my CDL. She's like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right. So I get my CDL, just figure out what it takes to do that. And at that point, it's and thankfully they were able to kind of, the guys were helping me over there. Like, hey, after hours, you can jump in the dump truck and figure out how to,
back.
Because I never even really drove manual. I learned on manual, but that was the last, 18. So it's like, hey, hey, get your permit so we can ride.
Let's go around and drive. That's awesome.
The mechanic there would help me out. It's this is how you do a pre-trip. This is how you do this. This is how you do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, I wanted to stay in construction as far as home building stuff, but this is where the money's at. I got a kid on the way. And so I did that, and I worked 2 years that. And it was a great learning experience as far as hey, you got to be on site at 6 o'clock, and on site's Reading. So that means you're leaving your house at 4:30 or 5.
4. Yeah. Let's go.
And it's I don't want to, but now I got my sons crying at night. It's
I don't want to.
This is real big.
Yeah, this is you got your big boy pants on, dude.
So that was, that was kind of all right, it don't matter what I want to do. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
So, we're doing work in Reading. We're doing work in Lancaster. We're doing work in Harrisburg. We're doing basically
where the work is you're going.
Yeah, but basically, he does a lot of work for cities. So he does a lot of the ADA ramps and the sidewalks. And it's all right. So we're doing it, and I did it, and it was good. Making money, making actually able to finally start saving, and
Weird.
and we got a son now, and we it's all right, this is adulthood. And behind the scenes, my wife is so she's teaching, and she's in York City teaching, and she's just had enough of it at this
really?
point. She's done with the city schools. She's
tired.
Get me out of here. I'm so done with this. But she's just she's a nose to the grindstone. I'm just gonna, this sucks, but we're just gonna keep doing it. And I think at that point, I've had, I don't know, 15 jobs in my life. She's a person I've had 2 jobs
ever.
Yeah. And I'm oh. So she's she won't leave. She's the type of person loyal to a fault, and I'm the opposite. I'm you drop the F-bomb on me, screw you. And by the way, I'm out.
Yeah.
And that's just but at this point in our lives, you can't do that. that. So it
Yeah.
was just another
But I
dose
get
of
it. I get
reality.
it. You were
Yeah,
the type that was like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing,
right.
and we're gonna let the chips fall where
Yeah,
they may."
yep. So
Yeah, I
my
get it.
wife is pretty much like just done with, and she was another one. Like you couldn't pay her to move up to Clearfield County.
Yeah.
And again, it's just because we grew up in more suburban Lancaster, is 2 hours from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Very, um, maybe 2.5 from Baltimore. So
Yeah.
like just the suburban areas of
Sure.
those big
Yeah.
metropolitan
And
areas.
Lancaster is a great place.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
she
easy
grew
to
up
get
there. Like
along. You
she's,
grow up
yeah.
there, you know people.
Yep.
And not for nothing, Clearfield County, for anybody
Right.
who's wondering, is in the middle of nowhere,
Right.
in the woods,
Yep.
on a mountain
Mm-hmm.
that's made of coal
Right.
and trees.
Yeah.
And that's what we do here.
Yeah.
Like, we dig coal,
Mm-hmm.
we cut trees down.
Yep.
Nowadays, we drill for some oil.
Yep.
There's prisons.
Yep.
We got prisons. Yeah. VA hospitals.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that's
A
what we
lot of
do
medical.
here.
You'll meet
Yeah.
a lot of medical
Yeah.
people here.
Yep. But
Um,
it's you want to hunt. This is a
oh
good place
yeah,
for it. If
yeah,
you want
best
to,
place.
it's a terrible place. Don't move here
Oh,
ever.
right, right, right.
Do not move here.
Yeah, no.
It's full of like
If you're a contractor, the work you'll never
never
find work
make
in this
it.
area.
Never make it. But no, I mean for real, it's a hard
Yeah.
place. It's
Yeah.
cold in the winter.
Yep.
Like compared to Lancaster, because
Oh,
I have family that live
yeah.
there. Winter stays almost a month longer here,
Yeah. Yep.
and it starts about a month early.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard scrabble way to scratch out a life. Not to say it's not good,
No.
because I love it,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can see coming from
Right.
a place like Lancaster is like this beautiful, bright
Yeah.
place where there's lots of nice
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and you come up here and it's like it's dark and
Yeah.
like
But that
it gets
was
dark
yeah.
early,
Yeah.
you know.
The other funny thing, my parents had moved up. So my mom's originally from this area, and my dad had actually taken a job in 2012 up here.
Oh,
So we were up a
yeah,
lot.
you were up a lot. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Weekends.
It wasn't
and stuff.
strange.
No.
It's just not somewhere you guys want
Right.
to go.
It was kind of like, hey, we can 2 hours away. We have our son now, so let's make sure to get up there at least once a month.
Let's see
to
grandma
see
and grandpa.
grandparents. You can
Go
catch
see
up
Alan.
with your cousins, and
Yeah.
and that was always cool, And,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, but she was done as far as she was done with this city teaching. Also, not to get too deep in it, but like we were done with public school system in general. Like we had our son now, and we're like, we had a talk one night. She's like, we're not sending Jed to public schools. Like he's not going to public school system. I'm like, all right, but that's like how you make your main source of income,
Right.
So like, we don't like the public school system because of X, Y, Z.
But you are literally the public school
system. But we're gonna make our living off of what we hate.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's weird, right? Like, yeah. So it came to another dichotomy. Like, are we gonna have these convictions? Which again, I would just say, they're my personal convictions. I've been dogmatic about it before, but I've come to the point where like, yeah, there's definitely good that like, I've talked to you about it before. Your kids are great. And they've been in the public school system.
Yeah, for a long time.
And we grew up in the public school system. But I think it was just something me and Sarah had come to like a hard road.
And that's like that's what that's what parents have to do.
Yeah. So we're like, well, if we're gonna do that, like if we're gonna stick true to these convictions, like why don't you leave the public school system? And if you leave, what a perfect time to just reset again.
Get out of Dodge.
So I had 2019, Alan called me up and said, hey, I'm doing this Friday into Saturday. I'm doing this prayer night with the church, get up here and do this thing with me. Like, I'd love to see you. And I'm like, all right, yeah. So it was like this all night, like prayer thing. And so I come up, and things over, and it's in the morning. I'm like, dude, I gotta get some sleep. Like, it was a long night. He's like, hey, before you like hit the sack, like come up with me here, and I got to show you something. Like, jump in the truck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right. And we just drive down this dirt road. It's just like, and at this point in my life, again, it's weird because it's at a different point in my life. Like, we haven't screwed everything up. We're actually in a good financial state.
Mm-hmm.
We're solid,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, we hate it. I made the most money I've made ever in my life in
Yeah.
2019.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, let's throw it away.
Yeah.
Like,
Because
in the
money
eyes,
is not
yeah,
the most important thing.
in the eyes of the world, like, we were great. We had new cars. We'd gone on 3 vacations that year. We're like, hey, let's buy a house.
3 vacations.
Yeah, let's buy a house. Let's do this. Let's do
yeah.
that. And I'm like, wait, if we buy the big thing is, like, if we buy a house, we're locked in here.
Yeah.
Like, because now
you owe it.
Yeah.
That owns you.
Yeah. So these are the thoughts that are going through my mind driving down this long, to set the picture, it's just a long trees on both thick woods on both sides, dark, it's early morning, and we're just driving down a dirt road. And I'm like, where the heck is he taking me? Like, he don't tell him, jump in the truck and let's go. I gotta show you something.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. And we're going down the dirt road, and we come up to this driveway, and he hangs a right in the driveway. But it's, again, a dirt driveway, and we're driving up, and I'm like, dude, where are we going? And he's like, you'll see, man. We get up, just this open lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what do you think, dude? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like,
it's grass.
He's like, I just bought this land. And I'm like, oh, for real? Yeah. And he pulls out blueprints. So he's architect guy.
Yeah,
like, he's
right. So he knows what he's doing.
He's analytical minded. I'm more of just like, give me a hammer and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Which he's a hammer swinger too, but he
knows how to do the drawing side.
Right.
Yeah, the big picture.
And so he pulls out these blueprints and he hands them to me, and I'm looking at him like, what is this, dude? He's like, what do I got to do to get you up here? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm building this.
What was it?
It was a timber frame home.
Okay.
Which you got to do all the metal for.
That's how I did. Met you. Yeah. That's the super barn or whatever. Yeah. Right on.
So I'm like,
it's pretty big.
I'm like, whoa, what? And he's like, Alan, I've never. This is like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, we got work. If you move up here, we're starting a company, and this is our job.
Did he have money just to finance it?
Yeah.
Just to be like, well, I'll pay you?
He pretty much financed the good year of it. I mean, the house is still not done, and that was in 2019. But
okay, yeah. But it exists in real time,
and that's where our office is. So it's a pretty big office. That's when we go hunting. That's where we
hang out.
It's a pretty nice hunting cabin, is what we joke about.
Yeah.
One of these days it'll be done, and it's a pretty sweet house, but we'll get into that. But he's just like, what do you say? I'm like, dude, what are you talking? Like, these are 8x8 timbers. You're telling me we're erecting these things and you want to build this? And he's like, I'm building this, and I can't do it alone. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, dude, so I tell him, I don't want to move up here at this point. I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll say, kind of pass the buck, I'll say something to Sarah. And I was kind of going to blame it on Sarah because in my mind, Sarah's going to be like,
never.
Absolutely
not.
So I get some sleep. He's like, let me know, give it the week. Let me know. And I go home, talk to Sarah, and Sarah's like, yep, let's do it.
Your last line of defense. And she's like, no, let's go, buddy.
She's like, yeah, I'll finish up my time at the school. And
put her 2 weeks in.
I
guess you can't do
it's my wife. She puts her 2 months in.
Yeah, she puts in her, I'll finish the whole rest of the year.
She didn't finish the year.
Oh,
I gave
good.
her 2 month notice. 2 months it was notice. Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And she's like, and I think this was like, oh no, that's what I was like, we'll find a house. I was going to work. We get laid off every year in this concrete company.
Yeah.
in the winter.
In the winter, yeah.
So it's like, let's just try to get up there with the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what happened. So like August of 2019, me and Alan are just like scheming things now. So I'm like, I call him back up, like, I guess we're doing it, dude. Like,
Thanks, Sarah.
yeah, I guess we're doing it, and start looking real estate because like we're gonna buy a house and we're gonna move up. And he's like, all right, and
Let's go.
boom. So he's like, I say we start a construction company. I'm like, all
Oh,
right.
sounds good.
So we start scheming pretty much all year. Like,
What do you
what do we
need?
want it to be called? What do we want
Yep.
it to, and getting logos and this and that. So Cross Construction Renovations LLC was what we came with. That's the logos on the, I had the sweatshirt on and the logos on there. And so that was kind of like all year we're scheming this stuff up. And yeah, I move up here, find a house, close on it Jan 10 of 2020.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, and it's all
Downhill from there. I mean, it's
it
all
was
go from there.
pretty much uphill from there,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
Yeah.
So what happened was like he's working architect firm, so it's like they're like, the big COVID scare of 2020
Yeah.
happens, and they're like, hey, we have enough work, so we're going to send you home, and you're going to do all your work from home.
Sweet.
And this all happens, and we moved up the last weekend of February.
Oh.
So March 2 is a Monday.
Yeah.
Like that day never leaves my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like I'm out at his property March 2 and I'm building. Like we're going full bore.
Yeah.
So he's working his day job to fund this house.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets home at night. And then, so I'm working like 12-hour days, just working by myself, kind of, okay, can't do this until another guy gets here. So I'll save this stuff when he gets here. And the whole COVID shut down. And I call him up, like, you hear what's going on in the news? He's like, dude, boss told me, like, I'm going home. And as long as they have work, as long as I have work, you're working. I'm like, all right. So we're just gonna, and I'm like scared out of my wits.
For you.
I'm like, it's only a matter of like, what if he could lose his job tomorrow and that's my job? Like, I'm basically banking on him.
Right.
Like if he stays busy, I stay busy.
Oh my goodness.
And somehow it all worked. Like by the grace of God, everything. They were busier than anything that year.
Yep.
And he's like working from home. So he basically told his boss, like, hey, I'll work my 8 hours. And his boss was like, yeah, work 8 hours. So he's like, all right, I'll wake up at 5 and put my 8 hours in.
Right. Yeah,
and
what's
then,
it matter?
Boom. Then he's out to the house.
Yeah.
And we're just building, kind of trying to figure out how we want this business to be run. And he was able to financially, make it happen.
Work on that side of it. Yeah.
So we're like, we're swinging hammers and putting this timber frame up, and yeah, there's like pictures on our website of it, and but yeah, so we're kind of like doing it, and then someone, and this is where everything is awesome, but also kind of sucks because it's like we wanted to get the house done, but now we're like putting pictures up of like, hey, this is what we're doing, and people are like, holy crap, you guys are.
You want to do something for me?
Yeah, like, hey, I want to build a horse barn. Like, no one wants to do it. You guys want to do it?
Sure.
Yeah, and then Alan's like, I'll design it.
Yeah.
And he does the architecture prints, and we build that, and so we're just doing it, man. So it's like 2020 to what are we in? 24 October.
Yeah, 24.
And we've just been going for it.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of bumps, ups and downs in the way. Like, so it was me and Alan from the beginning, like partnership, and we're busier than ever right now, and that's the reason the house isn't done. It's just been like we get busy and busier and busier. So it's like
paying work's better than not paying work.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. I don't know. Some things I've been thinking. I listened to your 001 episode, 002, and pretty neat stuff. And some things I've been thinking, like one, it pays off to know people. It pays off to build a good reputation because it has been very surprising where like the people I've met over the past. So I came here, all I had was, I knew my family and they're great people. But like business wise, I knew nobody.
Right.
And it's like I just started meeting people, and like that's how I met you. Alan
Mm-hmm.
says one day, so timber frame, we're doing timber frames. Alan's like, I want metal brackets to attach all my timber. So we didn't do the
Like dowels
yeah.
and post
What do you
and
call that? Yeah. So it is
I don't
post.
know. I'm not a wood guy. You're the wood guy. You should
Um,
know what it's called.
what
It's
is it?
lintel,
No.
post and beam,
It is
lintel.
post and beam, but
It's
it's
like the no nails
yeah,
situation.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we didn't do that. So
Right.
we're basically the 8x8 post and beams are getting there, and they're rough cut, and
Mm-hmm.
we're planing them down, sanding them, like planing them, staining them. We're erecting them, getting them all up, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like we're notching them out. So and
So
then
they sit
yeah,
and then bolting them together with
yeah, and then
steel
it's like,
bracket.
what do we do to keep them? And he's like, hey, Uncle Jay said he knows this guy Dan out in like Madeira, and he's like, he's some like welder fabricator, and like if I just send him my CAD files, he said he could like throw it on the CNC machine and like make it happen.
Yeah, which is true.
And I'm like, oh, for real? Like, yeah. And he's like showing me like your stuff. I'm like, oh, this guy's cool. Like, yeah. And so I'm like, I said we do it. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's your house, but
Yeah.
like let's like I don't know how to work with metal.
Right.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so and then Alan's like, hey, Dan made it happen. Like, here's the address. Go pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right. And that was the first time I'm here. I meet you for the first time, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
oh, no kidding. Like, and
Yeah.
come to find out you got like ties to Lancaster. And it's like, what are the odds of this? Like, this is just so weird.
It's wild.
Yeah. And,
yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and you said at the beginning of the episode, like, and you and your wife do the chicken, and so you guys have been like a really cool connection. But that was something else I texted you today. Like it pays, it does you well to have some solid relationships.
Yeah. 100%.
Because just the other week, we're like, oh, we need to sub out some painting, and now it's just something about, oh, what's your brother's name?
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
He's like, Jason Pereira. I saw some like Pereira. Like, I wonder if he's related to Dan. And he's like, I don't know. So I like look him up on Google, find his Facebook. Like, he looks odd. Like him and Dan look too close, and like, what are the not to be weird, but like Clearfield County is a very like just rural.
There's a lot of white people here.
Well, yeah, a lot of just like
my brother and I are
Scott,
not. Yeah, we're not the whitest guys in Clearfield County.
Pereira.
Yeah.
What are the odds
that there's
so
two
I like
Koreas?
Text you like, hey, Jason Pereira? Yeah, that's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, no kidding. And so just stuff like that. It's like you meet HVAC guys. It's like just build good relationships. So that's been our big like, because at this point now we're at a design build stage where we're in state college a lot. Right in there, there's a lot of professors, a lot of doctors in state college with Penn State being there, a lot of engineers, there's a lot of high end clients in state college.
Yes, 100%.
And they want things. They want their houses to be high end.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people are buying homes that need a lot of work done to them.
Yeah, they're buying older homes that were scabbed together. Mm-hmm. They were added on to at different times. Yeah.
So it pays to know a lot of people because we've come to find out, like, hiring, as we've said, like, the age gap is huge. It's hard to find, like, guys that even want, not even let it, like, throw good guys off to the side. Like, just guys that'll say, yeah, I'll work.
I'll get there.
And maybe I'm picky. Like, I think we are picky. Me and Al are pretty, like, we know what we want. So it's like, that also kind of I don't want just any dude. It's like, I kind of want to know them a little bit. So building relationship has been good.
Yeah.
And so just trying to network with people has been our biggest thing right now.
Right.
And it's been huge. So this is one of our, we had had a third partner at one point. So it was like a 3-piece there for a little. And long story short, that didn't, we worked together for about 1.5 years. I would also say another thing I've learned is, like, find your dude. Like, everybody should have their dude.
Yeah.
That you can rely on.
Yep.
from my experience, a two piece is like the best.
There
A
you
two
go.
man band
Yeah.
because it's like you can rely on that
It's
guy. I
a
mean,
short distance
yeah,
between
yep.
two
You throw
people.
another guy in there, it gets that's another opinion. That's another
Yeah. And
idea.
it's
That's
another
another
person that has a say.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we learned the hard way, but like he's the other dude's a good guy. Like I still talk to him and stuff, but it kind of just it made sense to
Part.
separate paths,
Yeah.
and you've been another good guy to like just talk shop and
Mm-hmm.
come over like, hey Dan, like you've been in it for longer than I have. Like this is where I'm at. Like any advice, and you've
Mm.
always been one to give advice. So having some, I wouldn't say we're super close, but having
Right.
some guys
But
that
just
like
good
know each
relationships
other
that,
and yeah,
solid people. You know, I heard the other day that eagles don't technically flock together.
okay,
Like they don't fly in flocks.
okay,
Turkeys do,
right, right,
but you still need to have some good guy. Like just because
yeah,
we don't flock together, you
right.
still need to have some good dudes in your closet or
So
in your
yeah,
corner. I
yeah,
mean, because dude, we can't do it on our own.
right,
We just
right,
we can't do everything,
yeah,
or at least I should say it this way: we can do everything,
right,
just not all at once.
right,
And
yeah,
it's important to have people who are gonna tell you straight
mm-hmm.
what if you're headed down a weird road, or just say, hey, what do you think about this, because we don't know everything
Right,
right now. We have to grow, we
right,
have to experience things, and like the only lessons we learn are hard ones.
right,
But if you can shorten the distance between
mm-hmm.
learning the lesson, like doing the thing and learning the lesson,
Yeah,
and you can shorten that distance by having someone in your life who you can listen to.
right,
It's just like, if you get a piece of IKEA furniture
mm-hmm.
and you throw the instruction manual out, it's going to take you twice as
Right,
long. You'll get it built.
yeah,
You might curse a lot,
right, yeah,
but it'll get built.
yeah,
You might have some extra parts, but it'll
right,
get built. Like at this point, as a grown up, as an
right,
adult, as a mature person, you have to understand. I can shorten the distance. I can
mm-hmm.
soften the blow
Yeah,
of life just by having people there who are going to help, or not
yeah,
even help. Like I can't
yeah,
help you with anything,
right.
but I
But
can.
no,
I
having
physically
yeah,
cannot help you.
right.
I am not coming to your job site ever.
But
You know,
knowing the right, that would be cool if we did do something.
it would.
But but
I agree.
knowing the right guys has really helped. Like, and that's kind of where we're at the space right now in the company where it's like work is not the issue. Work had
Mm-hmm.
once been the issue. Like we need to get work. We need to get work. We're like scraping by. We got to get it. We got to get it together.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the issue right now, which is a great feeling. But now it's like now we have too much work. Like now, how do we manage this?
Yeah.
Now how do we?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, all that networking we did like 2 years ago, like
You
we didn't
better
have
start
any
turning
work,
it
but we
up.
like we met the HVAC dude who also
Mm-hmm.
knows the plumbing guy, who
Yep.
also knows the
Yep.
electrician, and now it's like they're on speed dial. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey Steve, like what do you like? This is where we're jammed up here. So either I need you, or like, can you walk me through this? Because like I'm not a plumber, but I can plumb. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, can you walk me through this? Yeah, yeah, just ABC.
Yep.
Oh shoot,
Make sure
yeah,
it goes
D. I didn't
downhill,
understand.
buddy.
Yeah, yep. So those
Yeah.
dudes, and I haven't ran into a lot of problems, but there has been some, times where I call you like, damn, what do we like? Hey, more or less wisdom. I'm calling you like, damn, what do I do on? What do I
With
do
this
about this
person, the
situation?
situation, yeah,
And you're like, hey,
customers,
dude, like, have you ever thought about this?
yeah,
Oh no, I haven't.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe that would be some good. So just like building your network, building the people because we can't do it all, and to think we to stay sane, we can't do it all. To
right,
think we can is crazy. To not have the right guys in your corner is absolutely insane.
yeah,
I've seen so many people try to do it themselves. They crash, they fail, they burn. The companies that are doing design builds, the companies like you and your dude that are like doing big top notch welding, like you have the right guys and
hmm,
you figured it out. And
yeah.
it's not all figured out yet, but we
No,
are figuring
I
it
don't
out.
think it ever gets
Right.
figured out. And every company, as it goes through its life, because every like companies have it's a life.
Right.
Like it is a reflection of the
Right.
people who run it, who
Mm-hmm.
own it, or the person who owns it. If it's broke,
Right.
it's because you're broke.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
like all the work you get, if you don't like it, it's because you got it.
Right.
If you have employees and they're not the kind of people you want to be around or
Right.
work around, well, you hired them and
Right.
then you keep them.
Yep.
Whose fault is that?
Right.
It's you. You're the problem.
Right.
Always the problem. But as companies go through their life cycle, you can grow. Like the things that are going to limit your growth are technology
Mm-hmm.
or equipment. Because some companies, they rely on technology and they can grow faster with it, or
Right.
it's just equipment. You need 3 trucks and you only have 2.
Right.
So you can only go to 2 different places. You can't be in 3 places at one
Right.
time.
Yep.
So that's one like stop for growth,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also one way to grow.
Right.
Is equipment. Then there's money.
Yep.
Or the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't grow if you're not making more money.
Right.
Because you can't buy a truck.
Right.
Right. So that's the second one. The third one would be people.
Right.
If you can't find, like identify, attract, and retain high quality people,
Mm-hmm.
you will not grow. And so your
Right.
business can only grow like either at the speed of people,
Right.
at the speed of cash, or at the
Mm-hmm.
speed of equipment.
Right.
And if you can solve equipment and money, which
Mm-hmm.
that's actually the easiest thing to figure
Right.
out.
Yeah.
Like you can make a few phone calls
Right.
and get more work.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, it's not that easy. It's literally
Yeah.
that easy.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Correct.
It's not easy though.
Right.
I
Right.
get
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But really, go knock on a door.
Yeah.
If you're broke, go knock on some doors. Don't
Yeah.
go to sleep
Right.
until you make 10 more
Right.
phone calls.
Go work for somebody else.
Wait, or go
if you
to
don't
work.
want to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And if you don't,
Because you
and
can't run the business.
yeah, because you can't. So that's easy. The
Yeah.
money side is
Right.
not. It's not easy. It's simple.
Right.
The equipment side, what's a truck cost? 20 grand.
Right.
Well, if you can't afford a 20 grand truck, buy a $7,000 truck.
Right.
Like get it, paint
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
keep it clean. Make sure it's got tires that aren't going to blow. I made that mistake. I bought a van
Yeah.
for my brother one time, and the guys that I had working for me, and like the tires all blew out on it because it was so beat up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
The people problem.
Yeah.
And if you can't hire the people, you have to know the people.
Right.
You have to like not bring them in as a partner, but as a trusted
Correct.
subcontractor.
Yeah.
Or when I say partner, I don't mean in your business,
Right.
but as a partner
Like in the
with
network.
you.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
you're looking out for your best interest, which is
Mhm.
actually my best interest. I'm looking out for your best interest, which is actually my best
Yeah.
interest as well. I'm going to pay you on time. I'm going to keep you happy because you're a good painter.
Yep.
And I need a good painter every couple months. I'm going to keep this guy, like I need a drywall finisher. That's what I need.
Yeah.
So I'm going to find a guy who fits the thing because I can't hire
Right.
one guy to do all 3 of those
Correct.
jobs.
Yep.
But eventually, the hope is that you guys get beyond
Right.
just you two and,
Oh yeah.
subbing everything.
Yeah.
Maybe if that's where you want to go.
No, I mean that's our next. So and I've kind of talked with you about it too, just via text and whatnot. Just like the 5-year vision plan, the
Mhm.
10-year vision plan. Like, what do we want? So right now, I'll be 34 in December. Alan's 35. Like, we're still young, but like in 10 years, we're 45.
Yeah,
So like, where do we want to be when
Yeah.
I'm where you're at? You know what I mean? And not that that's like old, but like I want to.
Well, if you start thinking about that now,
Right.
and you start planning,
Right.
wow, you can
Yeah.
you can exceed that.
Right. So when I'm where you're at, then I'm thinking,
Yeah.
maybe in 10 years I want to not be retired, but like maybe step
Transition
back.
into
Yeah.
a different role, not
But
have
you can't
to be.
it doesn't, when you're running your own company, it does, like, you're the curator of that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't figure out how your exit plan, like, one, your company's gonna crash and burn,
Mhm.
or two, you're gonna be 60 years old and still like grinding as much
On a
as,
hammer.
yeah.
Yeah. Which
And again, not that that's wrong.
not bad.
Right.
Like for some people,
Right.
like that's what they want.
Right.
But what frightens me, it doesn't frighten me. What concerns me is if people aren't thinking. Like
Correct.
if you and
Right.
Alan decide we can make $150,000 each,
Yep.
which is a good living.
Right.
We can do that for 20 more years.
Yeah.
But that's what we want to do. We
Right.
don't want to get 20 guys.
Right.
We just want to make our a good living, do hard work. We're going to do it for 15 years. If you decide to do that, that becomes your end goal.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you have to do in the next 20 years to maintain that lifestyle and plan for not having to work anymore? Easy. You don't have to plan to get 30 guys and be grossing $14 million and I want to be building 20 houses.
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine and he has a construction company and he builds, I think he said he builds like 2 houses a year and the rest of the year is like remodeling.
Yeah.
He keeps 4 or 5 guys busy. He's got one sales guy who's like selling the houses and he has a couple subs that work for him regularly. And he can keep 4 or 5 guys busy plus himself all year, every year for the foreseeable future, just building 2 houses, nice, moderate home, no mansions. He's like, I don't want to build $1 million houses. He's like, I like building $200,000 to $500,000 houses. That's normal people. And that's his bread and butter. And he's like, I don't want to get any bigger. I don't want to get any smaller. I just want to do this. And he fills it. Oh, the boys will be doing a roof one day. Oh, they'll do this another day. They'll do, we'll pour concrete if we have to, or we'll sub it out on the house. And that's his plan. And he's like, and now they make enough money that all the guys can stay busy and stay paid. He can stay busy and stay paid, and they can plan for the future. And their growth is widening the margins instead of getting more work. They're taking like, hey, we used to do 20% on a house overall. Now it's like, well, this year we did 27% profit. Oh, we're going to get to, by the time he's done, he might be up into the 30s and 40s with his profit margins. That's what he wants to do.
And that's the perfect. I mean, I'm glad. So it's taken us 5 years to get to this spot, and it's good because it's like it was 5 years of just grinding and just taking it as it comes. But it's like, hey, maybe the next 5 years, like, so we're at the place now that we've kind of come, like, we've sat down. This is what we want.
Yep.
Okay, how do we get that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that means now we got to start using some of our connections. And that's the other thing, like, your brain and your connections. So that's the other thing I said, like, me and Alan are doing a lot of things. Like, we help run a school in Morrisdale, and it's like, again, what is not that I want to look at every relation as like a business. What can I get out of you? Like, hey, Dan, like, let me come to this podcast so I can get something out of you. Like, no. But every relationship you might be able to get something out of just because you guys are friends. Like, so there's a guy on our school board that's like, he's a pastor, and he's like, hey, there's this guy that just started coming to our church here, and he's like, just moved to the area, and he's a contractor, and he needs some work. He's like, hey, give me his number. Let me reach out to him.
Yeah.
And I reach out to him like, hey, what are you? It's like, oh, you would be a perfect sub, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't really want to be an employee because I have my own. Like, no, you're a perfect sub. So now we like feed him 2 days of work, and it's like he catches us up.
And that's
it's like,
what
hey,
he wants. And
now you can get in the office and send one of us in the office, and we can, so it's helping us and meeting with some guys, possible new hires, and But the reason we started thinking that way is because, like, we did get our game plan for 5 years now. Now it's like, all right, now we got to be thinking about that. And now we kind of have, and that's the one thing I would definitely recommend to business owners if they don't have a plan, because it puts your mindset in a different, you're still grinding. I'm still grinding every day. But now it's like, okay, I'm grinding, but I'm thinking like, okay,
because you have an end state that you want to get to.
And surprisingly, it's starting to manifest itself, It's like, okay, and it's not easy. Like you said, it's not easy. Running a company is not easy. But it is, it's simple. Yeah.
It's
the same.
You put it in, you get it out.
The philosophy of running a business is pretty straightforward. It takes a crazy guy to do it, a crazy girl to do it.
100%. You got to be a little
You
bit
got to be
crooked
out of
in
your
your brain.
mind. You got to
Yeah.
be willing to eat crap sandwiches. You got to
Mm-hmm.
be willing to put in the stuff you don't want to do, but the philosophy of it is simple.
Yeah.
And just knowing the people. So Alan worked in the architecture field, and he had never thought he was getting into building, but he met all these contacts, and now it's like people are like, "Oh, you run a construction company?" Like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we really liked you back when you were
Right.
managing," because he was in an interesting. He actually like not only did prints but like PM jobs. So they were like, "Oh, we
Really.
know you. Like,
Yeah.
you were a great PM. Like, you did awesome. Like, would you be interested in like where you got too much work?"
Yeah.
And like so and so just called us to do like a bathroom reno, and we're a commercial construction
Yeah.
company. Is that up your alley? And I was like,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. I was born in a
Yeah.
bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do bathrooms every
Yeah.
day.
So stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just building your reputation. So over the years, it's just been I don't know, it's a long story, but it's just been an up and down roller coaster, but you're learning along the way, you know.
Yeah.
From 19 to 23, I tried to build a reputation. It all failed. And now it's like, now I can look back on that and see why it failed. And now I can say, you know,
Hmm.
let's build a reputation that's sustainable. The other reason we called it cross construction was like, I didn't want it to be Scott construction or Schimmel construction. Like, because someday I would like to, you know, I have two boys. Alan has two boys and a daughter. It's like, we're bringing up kids in this. Our wives are in this with us. Like,
Hmm.
somehow our wives stay behind us, like, and
Yeah.
they're just pushing us. And
Yeah.
I know, you know, firsthand, like, your wife is like such a pivotal person. Like, our wives aren't in our day-to-day jobs, but like they are, like, they're running the behind the scenes
Hmm.
show a lot of the
Yeah. And
times.
they're our primary partner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care
uh,
who your business partner is.
right.
Your primary partner, your primary contact,
Hmm.
your primary mission in life is now
Yeah.
your wife and your family.
Right.
Not and your wife is before your
Right.
kids.
Right.
Yeah, that's
But I want
the
to,
way it goes.
we're kind of at a place where we're like, we're building this up. I can see things in my oldest son Jed. He's like very analytical,
Mhm.
not me at all. All my wife. Like, you put him to bed at night, and he's like, "Dad, you want to do math facts?"
No,
Like,
never.
he's like, "Hey, how about you give me a math problem in story form?" I'm like,
What's wrong with
what?
you, boy?
Like, hey, can you give me? Mom just told me today that 2 plus y equals 4. That means y equals 2.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, Jed, like, get to bed, dude. So he's like, you know, messing around with algebra at age
That's
7. And
awesome,
it's
dude.
like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
So, like,
awesome.
what?
Good for
And I'm
him.
not trying, like, I hate, like, I can't stand that. Like, that's not me at all. But it's like,
Right.
that's you. So, like,
Yeah.
what am I? And I'm trying to think, like, I want to just build my company. Maybe when
Mhm.
Jed might not be the guy who's swinging the hammer, but maybe he's the guy
Maybe
that's
that's
like doing the estimates, doing the
yeah.
marketing, doing
Yeah.
the statistics behind things, doing
Yeah.
the contracts. Maybe he's the Allen, you know,
Yeah.
which is funny because Allen's one son is like not Allen at all. It's like he's the brute, and
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, that's, I can
Yeah.
see myself in that kid, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like we're raising these kids up, we're
Hmm.
raising our families, and the other, you know, cross construction. We're both Christian men, and we both the slogan "All of Christ for all of life" is something we like really um, cling on to, and it's like, you know, over everything, you know, Christ is what drives us, the
Yeah.
philosophy of that, and so the cross is, so cross construction. We want that to be very blatant, and it's been neat because people are like, "Oh, really neat design, really neat. Are you guys Christians?" Like, yeah, yeah, not, but it shouldn't change anything.
Right.
But like, I just want it. The other reason, like, at some point, maybe we can sell this company, and it's
Right.
not,
Yeah.
if our kids don't want it. Like,
Yeah. I
hey,
mean, so the thing is, like, when you started, it was by accident.
right,
Like,
yep,
everything was happening by
yeah,
accident. job, the phone rings. You didn't make it ring.
Right.
It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, you like in your life and also in your business, you're like, oh wait, I can influence
Right.
how much that. I don't know who's going to call,
Right.
but I know that if I make a plan and I execute that plan on purpose,
Right.
I can get the phone to ring a couple more times.
Right. Yep.
Or I don't know how to do this job, but if I read the instructions
Yeah.
and I get a plan, I can accomplish
Yeah.
this job. It's crazy. It's like
Yeah.
I can do something not by accident.
Yep.
With your business, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can do things on purpose.
Yep.
And then, like with your kids, what if instead of handing them $250,000 worth of college debt,
Right.
you could hand them something that could provide for them?
Right.
Now, maybe they don't want to, and that's
Right.
fine.
Right.
But what if the sum total of your life was, or not sum total, but a huge portion of your life was, hey, son, daughter, like nephew, cousin, we have this thing.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And there are spots for humans.
Yeah.
You're a human.
Right.
You could walk into this
Mm-hmm.
spot. It's not going to be easy for you.
Right.
I'm not going to hand you money for
Right.
nothing. But if you're willing to put the time and effort into it, this is something that you could have that's of value.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think for so long, people have said, hey, just go to college and you'll be all right.
Right.
Where you're really just handing kids, like you're handing a 19-year-old kid a $250,000 bill.
Yep.
And he doesn't understand, or she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
What if we were able to build something out for them that would actually earn them money as opposed to cost them? And you know, college isn't the worst thing. I went and it's fine, but there's just so many opportunities. Like so Alan's relationships as a PM and as a assistant architect or whatever he was, they're like, a guy called us about a bathroom. We build 150,000 square foot warehouses. Why did we get a phone call about a bathroom? The reason is there aren't enough people building bathrooms. And not only are there not enough people building bathrooms, of the people who are building bathrooms, there aren't enough honest, high quality people that you wouldn't mind being in your house, that drive a decent looking truck, that can speak to you without swearing. Like the people who are capable of paying for a $22,000 bathroom want someone who is reasonably equipped to be inside their house.
And
and they're not like to our shame as a country, we've told kids for multiple generations that if you can't make it in school, you can't join the military, and you suck at sports, if you're messed up, okay, go to Votech.
Or here's a trowel.
Here's a trowel. Figure it out. Like there's a funny saying, and I say it all the time. Like you might not be able to finish school, but you can always finish concrete. Like you know, I say all the time, I fell asleep in math class and I woke up with a welding rod in my hand, and that's a joke, but that's real. And so there is a huge gap for people who are smart, are hardworking, are honest, have integrity, and they want to develop a skill. And if you can do that, man, the work is there for you. It's kind of funny. We've told multiple generations as a culture, if you're stupid, go into the trades. But previous to the 60s, and so the 60s, the Vietnam War is what started this, actually, because you could get out of the draft by going to college. So anyone with the means to go to college went to college. So you didn't get drafted. We said, if you're worth living, if your life is worth living, go to college. Previous to that, I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of guys building houses in the 50s, but they wore suits. They wore slacks and button-down shirts to go build houses. You had the best and brightest minds building the Hoover Dam, building the Empire State Building, erecting steel on all the city skylines in Chicago and Baltimore and Phoenix and wherever, building Las Vegas. The best and the brightest. We lost that for 50, 60, 70 years now, 50 years now.
And you can see a glimmer of hope because
Yeah.
I think
It's swinging the
yeah,
other way.
yeah.
The pendulum's swinging.
I see a lot of guys now. Like one of my best bros still in Lancaster
Hmm.
was a financial advisor, and
Hmm.
he threw it all away to
But he
pick up a
didn't.
concrete trowel.
Yeah. He did not throw it all away.
Right,
He did not throw it all away. The
right.
secret to the trades, and Mike Rowe, like if you go back
Oh
and
yeah,
listen to Mike
yeah. His
Rowe,
stuff
he's
is
a great guy.
yeah.
But something that he said, the secret to his show, Dirty Jobs,
Mm-hmm.
he said, number one, they never talked about money. He's
Right.
like, but you would not believe the amount of millionaires that were on that show,
Oh right.
right? Running a septic
Yeah.
company or whatever.
Yeah.
He said, so that's one secret. There was plenty of money to be made. The other secret is everybody was smiling.
Right.
They're inside of a septic system eating a sandwich underground
Yeah.
in knee deep
Yeah.
in poop,
Yeah.
eating a sandwich.
Yeah.
And they're laughing and smiling because everyone was having a good time.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Right.
A lot of people who go into the safe college route wind up disliking their job.
Right.
I have a friend of mine, and he knows the exact date that he's going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And when COVID happened, they mandated him to come to work.
Mm-hmm.
And he was mad because for every day he got mandated, it extended his retirement date out. For like every 8 hours, it was another day out. And he's like, I just got mandated for 3 weeks. I have to work here for another 3 weeks at the end of my career. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? How do you even know that?
Leave it.
You need to quit, bro.
Yeah.
And when you come into the trades, and I don't care if it's landscaping, if it's digging a hole, if it's building a house, if it's welding, if it's running a loader, every single day you look at that pile of rocks and you pick it up and you put it, and you can say, I loaded 47 tractor trailers of rocks today. I built 20 yards of wall. I laid 2 tractor trailers of sod. And you can turn around and look at it and go, dang.
Yeah, we did it.
And that's how we're supposed to feel.
Right.
We're not supposed to go count beans and at the end of the day have just as many beans to count. That's not how we were designed. It's not how our brains
that's
work.
What I was going to say. Yeah, I think that's inherently in all of us. Like, I mean, it's hard not to get biased towards the trades because I love it, man. I love it all, man. It's been it saved a lot of things in my life is the trades. And, and it's weird to think because I haven't really thought about it, but like talking with you, it's like, wow, like it saved me, man. Like, yeah. But it's neat to see like that guy I was talking about, leaves the financial field, gets into concrete, but now he's like a concreter, but like with this different brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Not a guy that's stoned all the time doing concrete. It's like, dude, like if we can, he's like a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Like he does. And I'm like, wow, how do you figure that out? So he's another guy I call up like, hey Ray, bro, like, what do we do here? Like marketing. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, easy, bro. Like ABC, like that'll work. Dude, I guarantee that'll work.
Yeah. We
do it. I call him back the next week. Like, bro, we got calls last week. We got this. Exactly.
I need his number.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah. You would actually like him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out American Heritage Concrete.
There you go.
Good team. But it's neat. I think there's a glimmer of hope. I see guys. I mean, trades is always going to be it's a hard business. Mm-hmm. And it's always going to have
It's always going to have an edge.
But it's always going to have the knuckleheads and like outsiders.
The best kind of guys.
But that's
we
like
need those guys. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like I was in a house on Friday of a dude who's like, the house is immense. And I'm like, I'll never be able to own a house like this. But the guy's like writing books for like quantum physics and this and that. And his wife is a physician's assistant. They're medical, and he's managing investments for different like big top end okay, so I don't know their net worth, but let's just
it's high.
ballpark. They're millionaires.
Yeah.
But like they need their floors done. So who are they calling? They called that architect, and then architect's like, I'm not sending my commercial crew. And so the architect has a commercial company too, a commercial construction. Is like, but like Alan's a solid dude, and his bro Jake's a solid guy, and So he's like, yeah, Alan and Jake, here's their number. Like,
Hmm.
and so I'm in this house that's like very high end, and they're
Yeah.
letting me around. Their kids are there, and they're both
Hmm.
at home, and
Hmm.
they're and it's like,
Yeah.
and they trust us,
Yeah.
and it's all because we've impressed this architect enough to say,
Yeah.
hey, they're the type of guys that I wouldn't mind recommending to go
Yeah.
into this house.
Yeah.
Their dogs are going to be there, their family's going to be there, and I know they're going to clean everything up. I
Yep.
know it's going to be done correctly.
Yeah.
I and that's I don't need that money. Give them
Yeah.
that money.
Yeah, and they're
And
worth it. They're trustworthy.
yeah,
All that.
and then before we leave, so we were like finishing up the job on Friday. So I jumped over to help Alan start finishing stuff up, and they're like, "Hey, we've been thinking about an addition. Do you guys do design build stuff? Because the architect said
Do
that."
we ever?
And it's like, "Yeah, here's stuff we've done." And they're
Hmm.
like, "Okay,
Cool.
we're gonna go with
Yeah.
you."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
again, just like give a crap about your work.
Yep.
Like, so I'm just putting 20 mil just LVT down that, in all intents and purposes, it's kind of a dumb job, but it's like, from
Doesn't
that, you
matter.
get this. From
Yeah.
that, you get this.
Yeah.
We impressed the architect. The architect doesn't mind giving our name to these
Hmm.
people. So it's like, again, give a crap about what you do. You're finishing concrete. Like, I still finish more concrete than I'd ever love to. But there's been times where, like, oh, that's good work. And you guys
Hmm.
aren't like smoking cigs on the job and like
Yeah.
throwing cigarette butts
Yep.
everywhere. And when you're done, it's clean and the
Yep.
forms are stripped and
Yep.
there's not like concrete rocks laying around. Like,
Hmm.
everything looks legit done.
Clean. Yep. Done.
It's like,
Finished.
yeah. And when you're
Weird.
doing a roof, there's not shingles everywhere.
Everywhere.
And the
Yeah.
guys you're getting to sub out actually clean it. So that's kind of, we hold our subs to those
Yeah.
standards
You
too.
have
Like, if
to.
I'm getting on the roof, like, my area is going to be clean. I don't want to roof this, so I need to sub you, but you better make
This
it
is
look
our
like how I'm
standard.
gonna,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Because they didn't hire you.
right,
They hired me.
right,
And when you do a bad job,
right,
that means I did a bad
right.
job
They're
to
coming
them.
back to me.
They're coming back
Yeah,
to us. Yeah.
they could care
100%.
less
They could
about
care less who
who
your sub
did it.
was.
Yeah,
You did it.
right.
Yeah. No,
So that's
that's
kind of
huge,
the,
man.
and it's been a long learning curve, but it's like, wow, yeah, when you give a crap about your work and you take great pride in your work. I mean, the trades is for. I mean, it's for anyone. It's for the articulate mind.
Hmm.
It's for the dropout. It's for the high school dropout. It's for anyone
Yeah.
because it's a sense of worth. You
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
everybody wants that. I don't
Yeah.
care if you're
Doesn't matter.
washed up dude or
Hmm.
like the valid Victorian.
Hmm.
They both want a sense of worth,
Yeah.
and it's something the trades gives you.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's amazing.
My wife is watching soccer, and
Oh,
we don't
nice.
have a real studio, so
That's cool,
we
yeah.
can hear them yelling.
Yeah.
But no,
It's
man, I love this conversation because
yeah,
that's the stuff that nobody wants to talk about.
right.
That like you said something, and I've said it myself.
Mhm.
Like the trades saved me.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
headed. I was just a very self-destructive person.
Mhm.
On the outside, I'm sure most
Right.
people, like I was a socially acceptable,
Right.
like young man
Yeah.
doing socially acceptable young man stuff.
Yeah.
I was, skateboarding, like whatever. But I like personally on the inside,
Oh, yeah.
I was headlong for destruction
Yeah.
on
Yep.
purpose. Like I'm like, yeah, I had in my mind, like I'm never going to hit 30.
Right.
Like in my
Oh,
brain
yeah.
at
Yeah.
18, 17,
Yeah.
16 years old, I'm like, there's literally no possibility
Yep.
that I'm going to be 30 years old. I will die well before that in a
Right.
blaze of glory.
Mhm.
Like that is me. Somebody asked me what I wanted to be when I was 17. I was like, dead. That's what I wanted to be.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like, well, what did you want to be when you grow up? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like
I
I didn't
wasn't-
have a
I
dream.
wasn't here.
Who was
Yeah.
But even like if I was alive, it's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean a dream?
Right.
Like, how do you dream?
Right.
And it was these guys that I went to work with
Mhm.
that said, you're not just some piece of trash.
Right.
Because we're not pieces of trash. And honestly, a lot of the guys that worked with at that time were like convicted felons.
Right.
They were some of the greatest guys
Yeah.
you could ever meet. They would
Yeah.
do anything for anybody.
Yep.
They were honest and had
Oh yeah.
integrity because somebody,
Yeah.
like all those guys who were convicted felons, the guy who owned the company, Ward,
Yeah.
he hired them on purpose and
Right.
said, here's a job. Here's what you can do. See, you started it here and now we're over
Yeah.
here and it's done. Look at what you
Yeah.
just did. Oh, and here's a nice paycheck.
And they
Oh,
want a
wait, I
sense of
could get, yeah,
accomplishment,
you
man.
accomplished something. You had a
Yeah.
paycheck. Like
Yeah.
all of those things are right there, ready
Yep.
for somebody. And a lot of those guys, like they started as a landscaper,
Mm-hmm.
but they finished like they own their own painting
Yeah.
company or they
Yeah.
own, they moved, they
Yeah.
changed, they grew. And the trades, on one hand, 100% raised me.
Oh yeah.
And then on the other hand, 100% saved me.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for this,
Yeah.
like I would be like everybody else, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yep.
Like I would have been a college dropout,
Yep.
just like, whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And no, again, nobody really likes to talk about it.
Right.
Everyone just wants to see like, oh, don't be like that guy.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah.
you don't want to be like that guy. He's got to work hard.
Right.
Yep. And guess what? Whatever.
We love it.
Yeah, I do love it. I
Yeah.
actually, honest to goodness,
Yeah.
love the work.
Yeah.
But all of the characteristics that would allow you to be successful in the trades, they're actually what you need to be successful in
Right.
any
Yeah.
field. Like if
Yeah.
you're a kid and you want to be a lawyer, guess
Yeah.
what you're going to have to do? Put in hours,
Right.
struggle through. You're not going to get paid what you think you're going to
Right.
get paid at the beginning.
Yep.
It's going to suck for
Yep.
most of the time. And eventually you'll get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to work hard.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
You want to
just
be a
the-
doctor?
yeah.
You want to be an
Yep.
accountant? You want to be anything?
Yep.
You're
That's
going to
just
have to put the time and the effort and the work into it.
the nitty gritty.
Yeah. There's no escaping it.
Yeah.
You want to be a professional motocross guy?
Yeah.
Guess what you're going to have to do? Work your guts out.
It might even be harder than
It'll probably be harder
a
than what I'm
tradesman.
doing.
Yeah. But
Um,
if you do it,
yeah,
you put a lot of
Yeah.
work in.
you have. And
Yeah.
so here, like, again, one of the things that I'm really excited about the trades as we kind of go from, hey, don't even look at it, and now it's getting to be like there's people putting some respect on the trades,
Yeah.
and there
Yep.
are like students are looking at it for the
Yeah.
first time in the history of statistics
Mhm.
in this country when the Department of Health and Human Services or whatever
Mhm.
ask these questions across the country to get the trends in our country.
Yeah.
The first time asking parents what their main concern is for their children, for the first time in the history of statistics keeping, it's not the number one concern when the number top 10
Mhm.
is not my kid going to college.
Right.
That's like so exciting to me
Yeah.
that all of a sudden I'm
Right.
thinking about it. Students, young guys, young ladies are looking out into the world going, how can I live a life I want to live? Not just how can I make money. For years
Right.
and years and years, for generations, it's been how can I make
Yep.
money?
Yep.
Now people are looking at how can I live a life I want to live? And if you want like to live a life of freedom, to have the flexibility to go different
Mhm.
places,
Yeah.
travel, the trades are a pretty, because guess what? No matter where you go, if you know how to build a pool,
Right.
they need pools everywhere.
Well, that's the
If
beautiful
you know how to
thing
do
about-
electrical work,
Yeah.
I don't care where you live.
Right.
You want to move to Australia? Guess
Right.
what? They need a
Yeah.
welder in Australia.
Yeah.
And if you're a welder in America,
Yeah.
you might have to pass a couple tests,
Right.
go take a 6-month class. I don't know what you need to do,
Right.
but I guarantee you they
there's
could
work.
use a good welder.
Yeah. That's
And
the
you could
beautiful
live there.
thing about even doing with crisis relief
Mhm.
and even the mission work and different stuff.
Mhm.
It's like you can take that and use that. Like going down to North Carolina,
Yeah.
like to clean up. What does that take? A mindset of hard work and
Yeah.
get it done attitude.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
which you've been building for how long?
Yeah.
You know, like since
30 years.
Yeah. So
I
it's
should
like,
be retired soon.
Yeah, you should. if you're working for the state, you know.
Yeah, I
you
would have
like
been
the
retired
pension.
already. Well,
But,
the work is that's a dirty
right.
word for them.
No.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In the union, you'd
Yeah.
be collecting your.
Whoa. Yeah, they would have kicked me out of the union by
Yeah.
now. That I don't fit into that world.
No.
I've had that conversation, and I don't have anything against the guys.
No,
It
I
has
got
nothing
some good
against the
friends that are
guys.
Unions,
It's the structure that they've built for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like I get it, and I'm thankful that unions existed
Mhm.
in the past, and there are certain industries that without a union, those boys would be getting killed,
Right.
like literally getting destroyed. And I appreciate that they're not. I appreciate all the contributions that the unions have made, but at our current status, it seems to me as an outside observer that the goal of unions by and large is to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And in the process, they wind up protecting the person that's least worthy of protection.
Did you watch that Theo Vaughn had the Teamsters Union?
No, I didn't.
It's I'd recommend it for him.
Yeah.
It's a good one. But it just makes you think, it's just like pretty interesting, but of course he's very pro union.
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, you can, like, the trades is an amazing thing because you don't need like you said, the union's done a lot of great stuff, but like you can also just get out and be a drywaller.
Yeah.
Be a freaking good drywaller.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
And make great money.
Make good money.
I've know a guy who like retired off drywall. Like he has like
and you know what?
Hanging drywall and freaking paint
and for every trade, there's multiple ways to navigate that.
Yeah.
It was never like this, but it seemed like it was that, oh, you're just a dumb drywaller, you're just a dumb painter, you're just a dumb welder.
Yeah.
But in every trade, there are multiple pathways through the trades that will allow you to build the life you want.
Right.
So if you do not want the responsibility of owning your own business, you can work for a large plumbing company.
Yeah. Yep.
They'll give you a truck.
Yep.
You can put in 10 years and you're in their truck. Yeah. And then eventually you'll become a supervisor with not a van, but a pickup truck, and you'll be PMing jobs.
Yeah.
And you're going to make six figures easily, mid six figures.
Right.
And after 30 years, you'll have a fine retirement. You can go the union route in almost any trade, and you're going to put in 20, 25 years, and you're going to make great money in the process.
Yeah.
And you're going to have security to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as secure as anything else in this world. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going to put my time in at the beginning. I'm ready to go out on my own. I'm going to put my shingle out. And if it doesn't work, it's okay.
Right.
You can go back to the construction company, the big construction company, the little construction.
Yeah.
If you want to work in corporate, you can. There's construction companies with 10,000 people that work at them all over the country, doing infrastructure and fiber optic cable installation. Or you could literally buy your own. You could be a lineman, buy a pole truck, and put your name on the side of it and say, I'm an independent contractor. I put up telephone poles now. Anything in the middle. And there's a way forward for you to build the life that you want. Do you want to work 40 hours a week, go home, have a nice weekend, and go ride your side-by-side? Go to a baseball game? You got it. If you're like, no, dude, I don't want to work for anybody. I want to make it on my own. There's a way for you to do that. And so that's the beautiful thing about the trades. And I could yell about it, rant about it a million forever. But I want to take a quick minute and go through our fast 5 questions that I want to ask everybody who comes on the podcast. Here we go. No previous notice unless you listen to the podcast. What is one tool you cannot live without? It's not that deep,
just
bro.
the impact DeWalt impact driver.
Like a half-inch drive, or like the quarter, like the little guy for
this.
screws and stuff. All right.
Nice little,
right on.
Use it every day.
Yeah, every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What is your "where have you been all my life" tool? You didn't know it existed. Now you know, and you're like, dang it, I wish I would have had this forever.
32-inch drywall knife.
Right on.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Started getting to
cover ups a lot of sin.
The level 5 tools. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been using my 12-inch knife, and if you know, you know.
If you know how to use it.
Yeah. Oh, it's a different ball game, but it's an amazing tool.
Right on. Yeah, that's an easy one for you. I like it. Okay, what is the most overrated tool, gear, or equipment out there in your mind?
Those Milwaukee guys.
Are you saying Milwaukee guys are tools?
Yeah.
Or
no,
Just everything Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Red. Okay. That's cool.
They're good. I got guys that are subs that are always ragging on me for DeWalt, so I'm ragging on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know who you are.
Uh,
They're good stuff.
I get it though.
Yeah.
I get it. You don't have to have red tools in your bucket.
Nah.
Yeah. All right. Go to job site jams. What's playing on the radio at the job site?
A lot of anything, but lately a lot of like Coulter Wall.
Let's go.
A lot of Tyler Childers. A lot of like that kind of country there.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'll switch it up and like Kanye West will be on. So
there you go. You got to do it.
So it's like Alan kind of has his taste and I love it, and then you got like emo music on one day. You're painting, you're like, it's Death Cab for Cutie today.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, so, it's all over the place. We're a wild bunch.
Okay. All right, let's pause for a second.
Yeah.
I gotta pee.
Yeah, me too.
I still have to pee. You can use the downstairs bathroom.
Okay.
All right, last question on the Fast Five. What's one thing that's an instant lack or complete loss of respect, or you're fired for you?
Yeah, the mindset of it's the other guy's job.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Not
like
my job.
Yeah, like I'm above that. Like,
yeah,
especially being a business owner and not having I've had employees before, and I've had guys just working for us, not necessarily like employees, but just guys coming around and like, dude, you know how to run the company. Like, you're sweeping the crap up at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If I'm sweeping the crap up and I run the company, like, I'm paying you, dude. Like,
you're sweeping up.
Shut up, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do it, that's fine, but don't come back in tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
I just hate that mindset.
I like it. Yeah,
like,
that mindset is not a mindset that's going to get you very far.
Job. I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's somebody else's job. It's somebody else's job. Or just the flat out, that isn't my job. And, I found that like all these jobs, it is a collaboration. And if your electrician can't work good with your drywall guy, and I know it's a joke.
Right.
It's always a joke that like, the electrician's never going to sweep up, and then the drywall is going to mud over the outlets. And I get it, that happens, and it's a stereotype for a reason because it's true. But the truth is, man, job sites that work and jobs that go well, is because everybody like takes a little bit of time and says, "How can I help?"
Yeah,
how can I help? And that's the
funny thing. Me and Alan always joke with is because we're getting to the time in our company that we're subbing stuff out, but when it comes to framing, we frame. When it comes to plumbing, we plumb. When it comes to electrical, that's us. When it comes to drywall, that's us. So like, I'll be hanging drywall. Like, who that? Call the framers back in.
Yeah,
it was me. They forgot.
Yeah.
What was the electrician thinking when he put the box there? Idiot. And then Alan like looks. What'd you say about me?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like the concept of it's not my job is one thing. Like, and I agree. There are times. Well, I don't think this way. I do agree that like if you're paying a guy to be to finish drywall, he should not be in there like hanging drywall, right? Or unless that's his job. Like, like I should say it a different way. If you're paying a drywaller, he shouldn't be doing framing.
Correct.
Right? Like, that's not his job.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, we all have to get this done. Yeah. And so the division of labor exists.
Correct.
In theory.
Yeah, I don't want my HVAC guy like mudding.
Right. And you don't want that. That's not your thing.
I think more or less for employees. So like, let's say you have an employee and you're like, let's say you have I've had this one before. You have two employees.
Okay.
and they're both the same rate.
Sure.
But one's older than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hey, dude, like I need you to clean up the deck, and we got to get everything cleaned up so tomorrow we can get in here and start seeing walls up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's a Dan job. Like, do you want to work tomorrow? Yeah. Sweep up, man. Like, I didn't ask Dan to do that. I asked you to do that.
Right.
Like, you're some sort of like, or yeah, there's a hierarchy, or vice versa. You're like, oh, that's a Jake job because I'm older than him. I've been in the trades longer than him. It's like, no, dude, just sweep up. Like, I got Jake over here doing this. Right. Can you please just sweep up? Like, I'm paying you an hourly.
Yep.
Just do it.
Yeah. Because if you weren't getting paid hourly and you ran this place, guess what you'd be doing?
Right.
Sweeping up.
You're sweeping up.
Yeah, because it's all on us.
And I love that about, you've mentioned Mike Rowe a few times. Like, Mike Rowe just has that mindset where the whole dirty jobs thing is like, no one's greater than the next. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the team mindset. It needs accomplished.
Yep.
What does it take to get that accomplished?
Yeah.
And guess what? That might mean that I've had this one before too. When I was working at excavation, I had a foreman one time.
Mm-hmm.
His mindset was, if my boots are dirty at the end of the job, because he's in the excavator all day, you're not doing your job.
Ooh.
Okay? It's like, all right. Then, so you're going to get a certain work ethic from your guy. So he's in the excavator all day long, and he has we always call them diggies, so you got 3 diggies in there. If I got to get out of my excavator, like, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah.
So that's one foreman. Then, hey, Jake, you're going on this other job the next week, and let's say I'm with you, and you're the foreman. So and the way they structure this is the foreman's always in the excavator, the machine. Yeah, that's his prevailing rate. Yeah, he's in but you're like jumping out, like, hey, dude, like, you know, grabbing the rake, like, I want that, like this, and you're showing me exactly how you want. I'm like, like, he's like, no, dude, like, I ain't.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you.
I've been here for 10 years. Yeah. That's why I'm in the machine.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no greater than you.
Yeah.
I've just been here longer than you.
Yeah.
And his boots were dirty at the end. And he's making his money, and he's going home happy. And so, I don't know, just that mindset of, like, the hierarchy. Yes, there is a hierarchy in a business structure, but like if you're too good to do something, that's just what gets me. Like,
so the way I think about it is, it's a leadership question,
right?
So like, there's a difference between a boss and a leader,
right?
We've all probably seen that picture that a boss drives the cart.
Yeah,
he's with the whip, like, you boys better get going.
Yeah,
but leaders are out front pulling with, like, they're leading from the front. There's a book called Leaders Eat Last.
Okay.
It's a great book. And the whole concept is, like, when in the military, essentially in the military, all the boys eat. And the leaders, the generals, the officers, now it doesn't always work that way. And that's a problem.
Right.
But the right way for things to be is, if you're a leader, you're last in line. You're literally the last person in line. You do not jump to the front.
Yep.
And there is a place for, like, hey, listen, the best way for us to get through this job is I'm going to sit in this machine, and you know what to do.
Yep.
And me getting out means that you don't know what to do.
Right.
So I'm going to get out and teach.
Yep.
And then I'm going to get back in the machine and let you do. And I might open the door and be like, hey, buddy. Yep. But, like, there's a time and a place for that. I had a boss, and I love him. I loved him. I still love him. He's a great guy. But he owned the company. And when we were doing paver patios, he ran the brick saw.
That's cool.
He did not lay the pavers.
Yeah.
And people thought it, like, people had all kinds of weird ideas about him. Like, why don't you do, like, the only thing that anyone's ever going to notice is the pavers are down on the ground.
He wants it a certain way.
And I asked him.
Okay.
Because we would, like, haul bricks to the guys who were laying the pavers. And he's like, I can run the job. I can see everything from this brick saw. If I'm laying pavers, all I can see is the 2 pavers in front of me.
Yep.
He's like, if I'm on this brick saw, I can slow the guy on the right down
Mm-hmm.
by missing his two, like not
I see.
cutting his
Yeah,
brick,
that's genius. Yeah.
and I can speed the guy on the left up
Mm-hmm.
by cutting all
Yeah.
his cuts first. I can stop cutting and make the middle guys go faster.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like, I can make the job go the way I need it to go by staying on this brick saw.
Yeah.
And so he, and it was just the idea of being detached,
Mm-hmm.
of taking 2 steps back, and he was standing up the whole time
Yeah.
instead of being on his hands and knees.
I
He's like, how
think.
could we do
Yeah.
this
Yep.
without,
I think another thing. I don't know. It was one of your podcasts because you were on. What was that? That one welding podcast.
welding tips and trick, or no,
Two guys.
welding business owners
Yeah.
podcast.
It might have been that one.
Or was it Tradesman's Experience? Two guys,
Two
Nate
guys.
and
Yeah, black.
Nate and
like
Josh.
black and a white.
Yeah.
I think it might have been on there, but
Tradesman's
basically, me and Alan were talking about this the other week. We kind of just like had a sit down powwow. Like, okay, we kind of got our 5-year plan together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where are we most useful? Like, because the thing is, and I know you know this, I've heard you talk about it before, and this is kind of why we start talking about it, but it's like, I'm not the office guy. Like, that's not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it.
Sure.
I will do it because it needs done.
Because it needs to be done.
But if I put Alan in the office, he's doing the design work, he's doing the calls, he's meeting with the clients, he's setting up the schedules.
Mm-hmm.
If I can be on site, getting the site moving, and basically relieve him of all the stress of like, is the day-to-day moving?
Yeah.
If I can relieve him of that stress, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And also, then I don't have to think about like, oh crap, there was 5 calls last week. Is Alan getting those estimates? I know he's doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like, where are we best fit? So again, yeah, if I need to be in the office, I get in the office, I get things done. But where are we most productive? I think that's the key. So
I think so.
Yeah, there is a hierarchy of productivity, but at the end of the day, that's just every company's going to.
Yeah.
Like I've heard you talk about it. Like you and your dude are like wired different.
Yeah.
Alan always says he's good cop, I'm bad cop. Like he'll sit down and think about the situation before he pulls the trigger. He looks at all angles of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey dude, how about we just like call that sub up and like chew him out? Because like he screwed us. And Alan's like, I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, yeah, you take care of that. I'll keep moving. Yeah, you just keep gunning.
Mm-hmm.
Like okay. And then like 2 days later, he's like, hey, I figured it out.
We sorted that.
Like at the end of the day, it still sucks, but like I was able to smooth it over, no bridge burn, because I'm more of the I'll burn
light it on fire.
Yeah, burn, baby.
Let's go. Who cares?
So where are we more useful in? So again, bringing in employees in that situation too is you're gonna Gary V. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Yeah.
So
I don't really listen to him that much, but yeah.
But he's he kind of does the same thing. Like as far as like you're bringing employees in, like you constantly have to be evaluating them, like because like you bring in a dude that you don't know, and okay, this is what you're gonna do, but maybe you learn like 2 months down the road, like holy crap, he could be like, and he's way more analytical than I am. He could actually be in the office.
Yeah.
And he could actually be more productive in the office than he is. And he understands construction, so he could actually do estimates.
Yeah. All he needs is a little bit of
So why don't we guide him in that and start showing him like, hey, Dan, I'm going out to meet with a client. What are you doing? Like,
you want to come with?
You busy after work tomorrow night?
Yeah.
I'll even buy you some dinner if you like stay with me and go see this. And I take you, I go meet with a client. Like, what do you think about that? Like, you relay to me what you thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start telling you, it's like, dude, okay, so you understand construction, but you're better in the estimating end. Like, why don't we put
Let's
you in
get
that?
you over there. Yeah.
Instead of like, no, I hired you to swing the hammer.
You better swing the hammer.
And then a year down the road, I wonder why he's like, hey, screw you guys, I'm out.
I'm out. Yeah.
So it's like almost like being a father to 2 children now. Like, the same thing. Both
Yeah.
your kids are different.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to treat your son the same way as you treat your daughter. I'm
Yeah.
learning, like, I have two sons, but I can't treat them the
They are
same
not the
way.
same. They're two
But I
different
thought,
people.
when I had another boy, I'm like, oh,
Sweet.
got that figured
Yeah.
out.
Nah.
No.
One could be way more emotionally driven.
Yes.
One could
Yeah.
be more analytical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
People are just different.
it's relational. Like,
Yeah.
so you got to actually come into your company that way too.
Mm-hmm. Which people like, that is not the old way.
Correct.
That is not the old way.
No.
Was shut up.
Yep.
Go dig a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And 30 years later, shut up and go dig a hole.
Yeah.
That's the way. And if you're a boss, you're always going to be a boss. And if you're a ditch digger, you're always going to be a ditch digger. But those days are thankfully coming to a close. Yeah. I did hear a statistic, and it scared me and also made me sad. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 74% of young guys in the trades come from basically fatherless homes.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And are like, you being a good supervisor or boss may be the first reasonably healthy father figure that they will ever have.
Right.
So it's in our best interest to do it well. And that's not what we signed up for.
No.
Like, that's the problem, is I shouldn't be your dad.
Right.
But I might have to be.
Right. And if being that father figure helps that guy work better, helps you and your company grow, why not?
Yeah, why not?
Like, you didn't sign up for it.
Yeah,
but
I did not sign up for that. But thinking it through, it's like, that's going to be a gift to that person to have it was a gift to me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have a dad growing up. And those old guys, they weren't even that old. They just felt old to me.
Yeah.
Those old guys were like my dad.
Yeah.
And they did what a dad should have did.
Right.
You're done.
Yep.
And that was a gift to me. They gave me this valuable gift.
Yeah.
And now we have the same opportunity. And I'm telling you right now, if you treat somebody with respect, if you identify where they belong, where they fit, if you encourage them into that, you train them, you hold them to account.
Yeah.
Like, you don't say, well, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You actually hold them to it. They'll go anywhere for you.
Yep.
I mean, I watched guys that I worked with as a kid that were fresh out of jail, fresh out of halfway houses, get a job doing something that's very low status, being a landscaper, get a paycheck, get some respect from a boss, learn a bit of a trade, a skill, and their whole life changed.
Right.
Like, literally 180 degrees. They never went back to jail after that. Yeah. Their life changed. They got their kids back.
Yeah.
They got their driver's license back. They made enough money to have their own apartment.
Yep.
They wound up buying a house. Like, that owner of the company gave every one of those men a gift.
Yeah.
And they would literally fall on a sword and die for him. And
then what do they, in return, chances are they're not leaving that owner.
Not anytime soon. Yeah. And when they do, it's on good terms.
Right.
But
they're going to build the company up for that. So it's like, it is a give and take.
Yeah.
But too many times I've seen owners like,
just take.
What are you going to give me?
Mm-hmm.
But that mentality, like, that's building. Like, you want to talk about building a network, building
like a structure that's gonna last.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it, like, outside of like religious talk, but like building a community of I don't know, that's what guys need.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. We don't need someone to talk nice to us.
Strong community of dudes, and we've talked about it hours before. It's that's what guys need at the end of the day.
Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah.
I agree. That is what we need, and I'll beat this horse dead and keep beating it. That's what we need, and it's why things like being a store manager are just not for everybody.
Right.
Like you could there. My partner and I have had this conversation many times.
Mm-hmm.
We walk into Sheets, which is
Mm-hmm.
a gas station convenience
Yep.
store. They make food and they sell gas.
Yep.
And it's set certain places. We've been down in Williamsport, and
Yeah.
right on the door, it
Yep.
says starting sales
Yep.
associate, just stocking shelves, $16.50 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Manager,
Mm-hmm.
kitchen manager, $18.50.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen $19.50,
Mm-hmm.
$20.
Yeah.
There are people who it does not matter how much that wage is,
Right.
they just want to work.
Yep.
They want to get out there and swing a hammer.
Yep.
They want to get out there and sling concrete. They want to get out there and climb trusses.
Yep.
They want to run cranes. They want to work hard. They actually want to be cold and
Yeah.
hot and
Yeah.
sweat and blood.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy those people.
Right.
And our job as owners and as older guys in the trades is
Yeah.
to find those guys and keep them in the trades.
Yep.
Don't let them go to Sheets.
Right.
Sheets doesn't need them.
No.
We need them.
Right.
And the kind of guy, the kind of kid,
Yeah.
the kind of woman who would climb up and grab a truss from a crane
Yeah.
and put 2 nails in it,
Right.
they're never going to be happy making.
No.
They could be making $100 an hour at Sheets. They'd never be happy.
I
They'd
had
never be satisfied.
Last summer, I had a kid right out of high school, and he wanted to work for us, and I told him what I'd pay him an hour, and he said, "Oh, I could go to Rutgers. There was a new Rutgers in State College.
Yeah,
I could go to Rutgers and make that."
you can.
Like, yeah, you could, dude. But just hear me out. At the end of the day, I'm trying to build something. You're not a number to me, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually want to build something here.
Mm-hmm.
He never did stay, but it's just like,
yeah, and
you
that's
could
okay.
go to Rutgers, but you're not learning a trade.
Mm-mm.
You're just
a number,
just punching the
literally
clock,
a number,
in and out.
Yep.
Where's my paycheck?
Yep.
And so yeah, you could go to Rutgers and you can make that. Maybe I've learned a little bit. I haven't had a whole lot of like employee know-how, but I've learned a little bit of there's some give and take when it comes to hiring employees. And maybe, but you could go, heck, you can be a waitress and make a lot more money than we're making right now.
Sometimes. Yeah.
And you can do it.
I know.
And if you're good at it, go for it.
Go for it. And if that's how you're going to be satisfied. Yeah.
But also, one more thought. So we're at so I've been thinking this when I was going to Thaddeus Stevens. I've been in and out of like coffee shops a lot. So like working at a coffee shop when I'm going.
Okay.
So that's always been like what's carried me through going to school.
Right.
Like just coffee shops.
Yeah. And, always work to be done.
Yeah. So just slinging out coffee and love it. But it's just passive money going to school. And was always married when I was going to school too. So it's like I need to contribute here. But anyway, guy comes in one time and he's like, "Whoa, Jake, you're looking a little tired this morning." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like I am." And he's like, "What's up?" I was like, "Oh, finals week, whatever." He's like, "Finals? You going to school?" "Yeah." "What are you going to school for?" I said, "Oh, residential remodeling over there at Thaddeus." "You do construction?" "Yeah." Hands me his card. "Call me after you leave today."
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? "Yeah, call me after you leave today." Like, okay. It's weird. So I like look over at the one girl running the register. They're like, "What's up with Tony?" Like, "Oh, he flips homes." "Oh, no kidding."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been impressed by you.
Mm.
Like just slinging out stupid coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you're doing it with integrity in a weird way.
The funny thing is I called him afterwards. I worked for him for probably like 8 months.
No kidding.
Yeah. But I called him afterwards and was like, "What?" Like, he's like, "Dude, the thing is, like, I don't really care what you know about construction. I do, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your work ethic is what."
Yeah.
And so I hear that you're going to school for construction.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to, like, we're trying to get employees. So I'm like going back to like old tricks I've been taught
Yeah,
throughout,
memories.
So we stop at there's a little um, brewery in State College, Autos.
Mhm.
We stopped there the other night after work, meeting with someone,
Mhm.
and our waitress comes by and she's like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about? Like, you caught my ear." I'm like,
Mhm.
"What?"
Okay.
Like again, this girl, it's like, "What do you like?" Construction caught your ear, and she's like, "Oh well, I've always had a dream of like building a design build company, and I'm going to Penn State right now for architecture and drafting." It's
Oh,
like,
right on, girl.
what?
Let's go.
I'm like, so I just like give her a spiel, and she's like, "Do you guys have a card?" Could I like, yep.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, because
So
you don't
again, it's
know.
like
You don't know.
you don't, and it's back to kind of what I texted you today. It's like when just do your job, do
Yeah.
it good,
Yeah.
but like give a crap,
Mhm.
give a crap about what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're in, especially when you're in those stages that it's like this isn't where I want to be,
Mhm.
but it's a filler stage. Like,
Mhm.
what can you get out of that?
Yeah.
Like it needs to be a stepping stone for something.
Sure.
So yeah, there was a lot of times I was in coffee shops where I'm like, this sucks, but I know how to do it.
I know what to do.
Um,
Yeah.
and like, and it's caught people's attention.
Yeah.
Like,
I have it's so funny. I have a very similar story
hmm
like that happened to me. It's why we're sitting in this house right now
okay,
actually. I was working at a little restaurant just trying to make extra money,
yeah,
and they were putting an addition on the back of the restaurant.
yep,
And so the guys that were putting the addition on would come in for lunch, and I would serve them,
hmm
and I'd walk out back. Hey, you guys doing all right?
yeah,
Like, can I give you a hand with anything? I don't have anything to do right
right,
now. Like that lull between lunch and
yeah,
dinner.
yep,
Like, what am I? I can't
right,
wipe the table down anymore. And after a couple weeks, I mean, they put a big addition on this
hmm
restaurant, like a warehouse on the back of it. And the old man who ran the crew, turns out he owned the crew,
hmm
and he wasn't really a construction worker.
okay,
He owned a manufacturing company, but he was just like cousins to the people who own the restaurant.
okay,
And they're like, we can't find anybody to put this little addition
yeah,
on. And
yeah.
he's like, whatever, we're
I'll make
not
it
busy. We're in
happen.
between
Yeah,
jobs. I'll do it. And so one day, like towards the end of it, he's almost done. He comes in and he's like, hey, you ever, what else do you do?
hmm
I'm like, well, I do this, little of that. He's like, why don't you come up to the shop sometime? And yeah, if you ever need work, um, you know,
yeah,
I could help you out. And so I go up to his shop. Turns out he's got a welding shop,
okay,
manufacturing facility. Like they build all kinds of cool stuff.
uh-huh.
And I start doing some part time work for him. Just get to know him. We
Yeah,
become pretty decent friends.
yeah,
He's like 70,
yeah,
right? And one day he calls me. I was working for my father in law, putting on
okay,
roofs, metal roofing.
hmm
And he called this guy. His name was Jerry. He called me, and he goes, "Hey, I got hurt and I'm sick,
okay,
and I don't have anyone to help me at the moment. Would you want to come work for me full time?" I
wow,
was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You I know you can weld to some
yeah,
extent.
yep,
Like, I know you're a hard worker, but would you want to come work for me?" And I thought about it. I was married, young
hmm
family. I said, "Yeah, I think that would be cool." He
yeah,
says, "Good, because I'm looking for someone to take over when I die." It turns out he had cancer, and he only lived like 4 more years.
yeah,
But he was like, "I need somebody
wow.
worthwhile to take over this
And he
business."
saw something in you.
He's by making him hamburgers,
That's awesome, man.
and he saw something in me. I don't know.
Is that his shop?
That's his shop.
No kidding.
I'm living on his property right now. That's who I bought this whole place from.
That's a cool shop, too, man.
Yeah.
That's an
I
awesome little.
mean, it just because did I want to be working in a restaurant? No, I didn't. But I needed to make
It was a
money.
filler. Yeah,
I needed to make extra money.
yeah,
And yeah, just doing my best at that, at making a sandwich for him.
yeah.
No, remembering that he liked black coffee
Right.
all day long.
Yeah,
And we didn't make coffee, but I made him coffee
yeah.
all day. And
That's
he's like,
cool,
yeah,
man.
he
That's really
and
cool.
he later on in life, like as he was getting to the end of his life, he told me like back then, he's like, I knew that you were honest,
Wow.
that you had integrity, and
Yeah.
that you would do what needed to be done no matter what.
Yeah.
And he saw that just from walking in that restaurant
That's
every
cool
day,
spirit. Yeah.
putting that addition on, and me helping him out.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm here now.
Yeah.
With the business that I have, and like that was the start of the business
Yeah.
that I have now. Yeah, that was this shop. It was
the old
this
guy.
piece of property. That old guy Jerry, and he treated me
That's awesome.
like I was his grandkid.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
for the
cool,
last years of his life.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Because I made a good hamburger.
Yeah.
Every day
It must have
for
been
him. Must have been a real good
yeah, it was
hamburger,
a
right?
dang good burger.
Yeah,
Brother.
no, it wasn't the burger. It wasn't the burger. But it's just funny. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to do the little things that don't seem like they matter,
Right.
but do them, at the best of your ability. And long term, like that's the way. Mike Tyson has a saying. He says, and Mike Tyson's a great philosopher.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's quite the philosopher.
One of the best.
One of the best philosophers on. Yeah, Socrates of our age. He's going to go down as one of our greatest philosophers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he said one time, discipline is doing what you hate like you love it.
Yeah.
And that's what made him great.
Yeah.
Is like he did not like training.
Right.
But he did it like he loved it.
Yeah.
David Goggins, another great philosopher,
Yeah.
if you listen to him long enough, you'll hear him say something along the lines of like, I hate running.
Mm-hmm.
And every day, he said, I was listening to an interview he was doing, he said every day, it takes him about 45 minutes to put his shoes on because he hates it so much.
Yeah.
But he finally gets his shoes back on, yells at himself loud enough to get out there and do what he knows he needs to do to be the best version of himself. And each one of us have to do the same. Do we really honestly, I don't know if I really love what I do on a daily, like tactical, like down in the weeds, like I'm burning myself, I'm getting beat up. Like, I don't know if I love that part of it.
That's a different animal that I'm used to, but yeah.
But there's lifting, the heaviness of it, it just gets tiring. And I've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
You just put that time in. But I still have to do it. I have to get up every day and just do it. And,
and it's like we could go on for hours.
Sure.
The jockos, the motivational speakers, they're great. I love them.
Sure.
I do get a lot out of it. But again, at the end of the day, you can listen to every single thing Jocko's ever put out. You could read everything he's put out.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's the hard work.
Yep.
And it's easy, again, back to like running the company, getting the estimates, getting the contracts, getting the jobs. The philosophy behind it is simple. But the see-through is
the follow-through. The actual the doing of the job.
And I'm the biggest, I fail all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I love, that's why I love you, you're always, pushing and, I'll throw something up on Instagram and you're like, oh yeah, you really mean that, dude?
Yeah. Like, gonna put your money where your mouth is. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap, he called me out.
Like, but we all. I have to do it for myself. Because I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Yep.
And I fail all the time. I'm constantly failing, and I wholeheartedly believe if you aren't failing, you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid, you are not doing it correctly. If you don't want to quit, you're not doing it hard enough.
Yeah.
Like this, the only way is through it. You have to just keep going through it, and it is hard. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
But what's our other option? I don't know. What are you going to do? Quit?
Right.
You're swimming in the ocean. You're
going
to quit?
At the end of the day, I got a few contracts I got to finish. So if I want to quit tomorrow, I still got a few contracts I got to finish.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing those contracts,
you might as well
just get another couple.
Yeah, keep doing it.
If I get another
right? And I always think to myself, I can't quit today. I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
what if you're feeling if
Yeah.
you are
Yep.
feeling like this is the end, I
Good.
gotta quit.
Good.
Just wait till tomorrow to
Yeah.
do it.
Yep.
Just quit
It's
tomorrow.
always a fresh head too.
Yeah.
Like the other day, so we got a few jobs going on right now, and like so Alan's, we're all kind of split. Alan's over doing a job, and oh, the end of the day is coming. Just like I'm like stressed out. There's so much that needs done. We got inspections coming. It's just like I can't get ahead, man. And
No.
I hear someone coming up the steps, and I look over, and Alan's. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Dude, today sucked, man.
Yeah.
Like, tell me about it, bro."
Tell
Like,
me about
I
it.
was like, I'm in it, man. Like, we got an inspection tomorrow, and I get what we needed done. He's like,
Mhm.
all right, don't stress. Like, wife's not working tomorrow, so let's get in here. Let's get in here early and tackle it. Like, all right. We get in the next morning, 7 o'clock. We're in there. And it's like, oh,
It's not that bad.
dude, it only. Oh, I could do it. It took
Yep.
me a half an hour to get ready for inspection.
Yep.
Day before, I'm just like,
I'll never be done.
oh, I'm gonna fail inspection. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Alan's like,
It's
yeah,
it's
welcome to business ownership,
yeah.
man. It sucks,
It's
huh?
almost
It's like it
never as
does, but
bad.
but the next day you get in with a fresh cup of coffee in
Yep.
you, and you're like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, yeah, this, that, the other.
Yep.
Punch the stink pipe up through the roof. The roofers are
Hmm.
coming. Get the,
Hmm.
oh, that took
Yep.
whatever. Yeah,
Yep. The actual doing of it. If you keep thinking,
right.
it only gets worse.
And there's always stuff to do. Like
Always something to do. Yeah.
I feel bad because my son's always like, "Are you working today, Dad?" It's
Yes.
like, yeah, there's a lot of work, but what do you want to do, man? Because let's do some stuff. Yeah, I'm working today, but
Yeah.
like, do you
Yeah.
ever take a day off? Like,
No.
I can't, bud. But we can. Let's do something.
Yeah.
You want to play? So he's
Yeah.
big in chess right now.
Oh,
So
cool. So he
it's like
beats you all the time.
he beat me today.
Yeah.
He was so,
Yeah. He
he
was so
was so
stoked.
stoked.
You're
Man.
like, it's not
Such a
even like you can just get better at it.
yeah. It's
You're
like,
as good as you're ever gonna be.
but I'm like, yeah, but let's play some chess. I got a meeting this morning.
Hmm.
I got to get out to the office today, get some stuff sent out. I got to,
Yep.
talking to you today, like, hey, want to do this tonight? Sure, and then get your family time and get your.
Yep.
What can you do?
Yeah.
It's just
It's what you do,
it's the
man.
life we
It's
choose.
it is. It's a life we chosen.
Yeah.
The thing I'll say about it though is there's a lot to say about that, but
Mm-hmm.
one of the worst feelings I've ever had in my life is so I put in all the hours.
Mm-hmm.
I went like I have spent so much time working.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's easier to work than it is to be at home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I've had to actually ask my wife to forgive me because it's easier for me to be in the shop till 3 in the morning than to
Right.
come up and eat dinner,
Yeah.
right? But I've put all that time in, and now
Mm-hmm.
in the last couple of years, I'm reaping the rewards of that
Right.
in my time, my
Mhm.
schedule, in the work that I get to do, the people I get to do it with. It's been beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're driving, we're going on vacation for the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, well, it's not the first time, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
We're going
In
on a
a
vacation.
long time.
I don't
Yeah.
normally do that sort of thing.
Right.
And we're driving and we're talking, and the kids are talking, and we were talking about the olden days and where
Mhm.
we used to live and all that stuff. And my daughter said, because I was like, yeah, you remember when I used to work in the oil field and I'd be
Mhm.
gone and whatever. And she was like, you were always gone. And I'm like, no, I was gone for 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And then I'd be home for 2 weeks. I'd be gone for, weeks on end. And then I'd be home for
Yeah.
a couple of days, weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I only remember when you were gone.
It's tough, dude.
And that was one of the hardest things I ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I only remember when you were gone.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
but the thing is,
But-
like, the flip side of that coin is that's correct.
Yeah.
But now we're here.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
So let's make the best of it. Yeah.
But we're here right now.
Yeah.
And from now into the foreseeable future, it's going to get better and better
Yeah.
and better.
Yep.
I had to put that in at the front side
Right.
in order to get what we
Yep.
have now.
Yeah.
Financially and
Yeah.
relationally.
Yep.
And, if I wouldn't have done all that stuff, I wouldn't be the man that I am today, the
Right.
dad that I am today.
Right.
So, all that's just part of the deal.
It is. It is.
And you know what? Dad's been leaving to go do what they need to do
Yeah.
for all of history.
Yep.
And their kids are fine.
Well, that's The
The
thing
kids are okay.
I don't. What was that? I heard that on a podcast. Like, could you imagine? Like, the dads of Vietnam, they left. The
Yeah.
dads of World War II.
Yeah, there was no end. When the war is over, you get
Yeah,
to come home or you die.
yeah.
One or the other.
I hope I get to see dad again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I do, then we pick up, and
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. Could you imagine being like 12 years old? Your dad gets shipped off to World War II, and then you're like,
3 years later, he
yeah,
comes back. You're 15.
yeah.
That's
But
weird, man.
but
But that was life.
they grew up, and
Yeah.
they didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe there was resentment. I don't know, but like people lived and moved
Yeah.
on. Like,
I,
like they
I
just
don't do
did it.
this perfectly. I
They
fail
did
at
it.
it all the time. But my goal, and again, I fail at it. The phone is like the hardest thing.
That's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I get it. And again, I do not do it perfectly. It's just where I want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to do this my whole career. I've tried to do this. Is I don't believe in balance.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing. You're never going to have enough time at home.
Yeah.
You're never going to have enough time at work. If you're home more, you don't have money.
Right.
If you're at work more, you're not at home.
Yeah.
Like, so there's no balance.
Yep.
You can't do everything all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I choose, and I've set it up with my wife and my family, that when I'm away work, I'm 100% there.
Yeah.
Like, do not expect phone calls.
Right.
Do not expect, like, if the toilets are clogged up,
You're right.
you can call me, but I can't help you.
I'll figure it out when I get home.
Or you can figure it out, right?
Yep.
But I'm not here. I'm 100% committed to what I'm doing. When I get home, my goal, again, I fail a lot at it. I don't, like, if my daughter ever listens to this, she'd be like, oh yeah, you stink at this. I try to be. No, I know I don't do it. But my hope and my goal and like what I'm working towards and trying to be is present when I'm home.
Right.
And so, like, if there is a soccer game, I want to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
If I can take my son to the motocross track, I want to take him.
Yeah.
Like, if there's ice cream to go get, I want to go get it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to be at work when I'm at home.
That's good.
And I think that's what builds the resentment.
Yeah.
Is you never come home.
Right.
You actually are never home.
Right.
You're always gone.
Yeah.
Up here.
Right.
In your head. Right. So I think that's...
No, I think, I've been kind of battling that a lot myself lately. Because even,
But it's tough because we have important stuff to get done.
Right. But, my wife will be like, you weren't, babe, I was home all day.
You weren't.
I was actually home all day today. And she's like, yeah, but like...
You weren't, man.
You took like 3 phone calls. You were on phone call with the HVAC guy for 2 hours. You might as well have been in the office today.
Yeah.
If you want to take the day off swinging the hammer, just go to the office.
Yep. And that's where you have to grow, and that's where you have to
develop.
I
tried, it's like, it's...
Yeah.
I mean, running your own business it's your life. It really becomes your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad our wives are gracious with us and grow with us, because I mean, I've met some ladies that like, oh, their husbands could never do that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I think the Lord's just given us the correct wives, correct.
Yeah.
Because I've met some people and I'm like, oh, dude, you'd never be able to do what I do.
No.
Like, I tell my wife, hey, Dan called me over. I'm going to go over to Dan. Okay. Yeah. You good putting the kids to bed tonight? Yeah. Just make sure you're
make sure you get
on
home.
it tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Get with the kids. And let's get ready for church and do it.
All right. Yeah. Because tomorrow's Sunday. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
We'll do. And
shoot. Yeah.
And but yeah, and I'll make it home tonight. So I don't know. That's our relationship, and it's cool. And like you said, there's always something we need to work on.
Yeah, we're not going to make it.
And this is what I was telling my brother the other day. He's gone through some stupid stuff, and it's just like, dude, because he's like, I think I figured it out.
No, you
didn't. Like, what'd you figure out, dude? Like the reason my relationships are sucking is because like I'm too in my work. Like, okay, all right, yeah, you might have a point, but I was like, just to give you a heads up, dude. So what you're gonna do is the pendulum is gonna swing the other way now, and you're gonna want to do like all relationship, and you're gonna be like, why don't I have money? Because I'm not. You know what I mean? It's like there, you're right. There is no balancing
There's
act.
no
But
balance.
what you say, like, yeah,
Be 100% where you are,
yeah,
man.
yep,
And if you find yourself in that position where like you think to yourself or you experience it from your family that if I keep going this way,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be able to come back, make the
Yeah,
changes that you
yep,
need to.
yep,
Like maybe that's the point where it's like, hey, where I'm headed isn't worth the cost,
right,
right? I found myself working in the oil field a lot and getting to the point where, I honestly thought if I keep doing what I'm doing,
mm-hmm.
it's not that I'm going to get a divorce,
Right,
but when I come home, my family's not going to be there
right,
in the way that I
right,
was hoping they would be.
yeah,
I could feel myself getting
yeah,
harder and harder and harsher
mm-hmm.
and just rougher. And
Yeah,
looking around at the guys in the industry, I'm like, man, if I want to get what they have, I got to give what they gave.
yeah,
And they're all divorced.
mm-hmm.
And if they're not, they live in big. Their wives live in real big houses
Mm-hmm. And
that they
they're,
don't go to.
yeah,
Like they got real nice pickup trucks,
yeah,
and that's a scary thought. To, I mean, it's
yeah,
probably to me it was scarier
oh yeah,
that I would come home and my family wouldn't be my family
right,
anymore, but they'd still be in the house.
yeah,
That's scary,
yeah,
and I had to make some changes. And
yeah.
that, again, that's
And
that
that's
that's the
the whole
deal.
story,
Yeah, that's
That's,
the
I
thing.
mean, your story, my story. It's like it's been a lot of course adjustment
Yeah,
throughout because, yeah,
you got to.
yeah, and you think you got it figured out, and it's like, oh crap, no, I'm not doing this, or
Hmm.
I'm not doing that. And,
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good
yeah,
spot to put a pin in it
yep,
and say thank you to everyone who sticks it out. Um,
yeah.
just so you guys know, there's no ads,
Sorry.
there's no sales pitch at the end. The only thing you can do to support this podcast is listen to it. If you like it, you can share it to somebody, whatever you need to do. But the whole point of this is that get to have the conversations that matter, that we get to have um, open and honest conversations about the ups, the downs, the realities of what goes on in this world. And if you want to listen again, we'll be here and we'll do another interview. We'll have another conversation. If you want to reach out, send me an email, a message. Yeah, we'll. You could be on the podcast too and have a
Yeah.
really long conversation. But again, thank you guys so much for sticking it out, listening, and we'll see you next time.